Some people call us fanatics. I consider ourselves enthusiasts. I am KaijuNoir, and this is Shuwatch!
Super dynamic!
Ultra Force!
Go!
Hello, people of the internet. Thank you for joining us once again for another episode of Shuwatch, Super Dynamic Ultra Force Go. I am your host, Andres Perez, aka KaijuNoir, and here, as always, is David Joshua Hernandez, aka Gorizard.
I have no catchphrase for Shuwatch.
Oh, come on. Not even your default. You can't even go to your default one?
I was about to go to my default one, but there was a glitch in the Matrix, and I panicked at the last minute, and then I just came up with the announcement that I have no catchphrase this time. I mean, I have a list of catchphrases I've been planning for future SOS recordings, and so far I only have 3, and 2 of them are from Breaking Bad.
What? So you could even, like, at least spend one of those Breaking Bad catchphrases. Just say, like, I am Gorizard, and I am the one who knocks.
Well, maybe. But I don't have that one.
You didn't even think of that one on your list of Breaking Bad catchphrases.
Well, I picked the ones that are most underrated as opposed to the ones that are more overrated, like
have an A1 day.
Yeah, or I am the danger, or I am the one who knocks.
Or you can just scream out loud and start laughing maniacally, knowing that you are absolutely fucked. Okay.
That would have been one option, but I do have a special one for tomorrow for tomorrow's SOS recording.
Well, let's save that for tomorrow then. So yeah, guys, unfortunately, Adam is not here with us today, but we will continue going on. And for this first section of Shuwatch, I would like to bring up a certain topic that has been brought up a few times during the history of the SOS collaborations, and that is the continuity of the Showa Godzilla series. Now, as you all know, pretty much all the Godzilla films made between 1954 and 1975 are considered to be one big continuity. And thanks to Destroy All Monsters, we have a ton of other Toho films that apparently exist within this same continuity as well. But I figure it's about time we take a look at said continuity and see just whether or not the continuity is sound. So, yeah.
I just want to say that the Heisei series sometimes gets a little criticism for having some plot holes or some questionable elements in their continuity, but for some reason, a lot of fans hardly ever attack the continuity of the Showa era, because it's like this thing where we're like, okay, just don't question it. Just don't question it.
Yeah, it kind of shares a lot of similarities to the Universal Monsters continuity, where they often do a whole lot of retcons at the beginning of each of their films, especially with with the Frankenstein series. Like, sometimes a character dies, but then they come back. Sometimes you have a character playing the same character but with a different name, or maybe you have the character with the same name but with a different actor, so you don't know they're the same characters.
Surprisingly enough, Toho does the same thing with their films too.
And a big mind-boggler, if you remember, the House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula movies, where I forgot which one came first. I think Frankenstein came first, where you have Dracula straight up dying in House of Frankenstein, and then in the next movie, House of Dracula, he's back alive. He's like, oh, hey, you random scientist, I want you to cure me of my vampirisms.
Though the Universal Monster film that tried to bring logic into their films.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. And then if you bring, Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein, then there's a whole other situation there. Now, if only we had like a comedic version of Godzilla, like Abbott, like sort of like a version of Abbott and Costello meets Godzilla.
Well, we kind of do have that, but it's considered one of the worst Godzilla films, and it's Godzilla's Revenge.
Yes, sort of, kind of, I guess, if you count Ichiro and the two bumbling bank robbers. So I guess, like, the first thing I want to bring up within this continuity is Minya himself. And did you ever wonder that growing up and watching these films, did you ever wonder just what the heck happened to Minya after Godzilla's Revenge?
Mm, not really. No, I just assumed that he just stayed at Monster Island the whole time.
Because it's so funny how he made three consecutive appearances, and yet for the entirety of the '70s films, not once did they ever mention him at all.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, yeah, you're right. Monster Island is referenced in the set in Megalon,
Right, right,
but
and it,
you don't see any other monsters besides Anguirus.
well, and Rodan, but even then, that's just stock footage from Destroy All Monsters,
Yeah.
tinted red, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so uh-huh.
with Minya, I guess actually I never actually gave it quite much thought until now.
Also, if you remember his second to last appearance in Destroy All Monsters, Destroy All Monsters takes place in 1999. So supposedly this takes place like a good like maybe 30 like 20 like 25 to 30 years after Son of Godzilla, because that was the last movie before Destroy All Monsters. So within those like 25 to 30 years, Minya still hasn't aged a single day. So it's
Well,
so
the last thing that was on the Toho writer's mind was logic and sound.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I actually the other day I was watching Monster Zero, and in the Japanese version, it says the film takes place in a 1960X, and the year is not presented in the U.S. version at all.
Are most of the not counting Destroy All Monsters, but do most of the films have they ever mentioned the year for most of these films? Like this takes place the year that it was made, or one year after the year it was made?
No, very few of them rarely do it, with the exceptions of Destroy All Monsters and Monster Zero.
Because I know
But
that uh-huh.
the Heisei series does it a lot, and it's usually either a year after the film was made and released.
Mm-hmm.
And well, in the case of Destroy It, it takes place in 1996 or 7. Yeah, 96.
Right. And Godzilla versus King Ghidorah took place in 1992, even though it was made and released in 1991.
It's kind of weird that they chose to set the movies a year uh, after they would be released. In movies nowadays, well, in a lot of movies,
Mm-hmm.
science fiction films nowadays, or even during the 80s and 90s, they take place usually 20 or 30 years into the future, as opposed to them being set the year they're being made and released. Like with Back to the Future Part 2, it
Mm-hmm.
takes place, I guess, 15 years, 20 years into the future. But
No,
it's supposed to take place now, around
yeah,
this time.
we're almost there. We're almost at 2015, man. We're like hopefully in 6 months we're already gonna have flying cars and hoverboards and
Hey, I
and
believe
instant
that video.
instant Pizza Huts, instant like
I
microwave pizzas that turn small and then huge.
two things. One, I actually believe that hover video with Tony Hawk and Christopher Lloyd.
Uh,
I was so pissed when I found out it was fake.
I wanted to believe it so badly, but I was like, nah, this is definitely not real. I mean, otherwise, like every single news outlet would have exploded saying, "Oh my God, we got hoverboards." But it's like, ah, God damn it, why'd you go through all of this effort when it's not even real, man?
That's one of the things I suspected, whether it was real or not. At first, I thought wasn't real because, yeah, the whole thing that it's not getting that much media coverage. But then I started, really thinking the logic behind it, and realized, we actually do have the technology to create hoverboards. The problem is companies are not gonna spend millions of dollars on a product. It costs way more than a house.
True,
But
true.
but there is a possibility that hoverboards can exist. So that's what made me believe that that video was real. But then Tony Hawk came out saying, "Oh no, it was a hoax." I'm sorry. I'm like, "Fuck you! Come on."
You only were part of this because you haven't been relatives since the last Tony Hawk Pro Skater game.
I was already thinking I no longer need a car. I could just use my hoverboard.
Just go to work in style. Dun, 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 dun.
Also, I had a second thing I was going to point out. What did you say before I went on my rant of the hoverboard? Oh, instant pizza.
Instant pizza, yeah. Remember how like they had a little mini Pizza Hut package? They turned a little pizza, they put it in the microwave, and it's like 5 times bigger than it was.
I don't know if I mentioned this before on Shuwatch or SOS, but if I did, I'm going to repeat it anyway. This is how I'm predicting that human employees at any fast food joint are going to be replaced. They're going to I predict that they're going to be replaced with ATM-like machines that take your order. No, actually, you put in your order like touchscreen style.
Wait, they already have those at Jack in the Box. Well,
yeah. I'm going to my point.
Okay.
And instead of having like the employee make it for you, the machine does it for you in front of you. Kind of like there's like those arcade games where it kind of does the you know what I'm talking about. It's like these things that are like automatically doing some sort of task.
Doing tasks like a claw machine? Or like pushing the coins forward?
Actually, the the customer making his own burger could also be a possibility, but I imagine that the machine's doing it for you, like it's programmed,
like those ice cream vending machines?
Yeah. Kind of.
There's like a little vacuum, like just picks up that ice cream from the box and just drops it in front of you.
Yeah, but to a much more advanced level where it's actually programmed to heat up the bun.
Yeah.
Add the lettuce, the mayonnaise, the tomatoes, and then the meat, and prepare it in front of you. And customers can no longer complain because it's made by a machine. So there's no this thing about she made it she undercooked it on purpose or something like that.
Like, I wanted it well cooked, well done. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
You can't lodge a complaint against the machine.
I've been programmed to produce the finest quality of burgers. I'm sorry. You are a detriment to the mission. Yeah, because... Well, I guess going back to the Showa continuity. The Showa continuity, you did bring up technology, and that's a good point because we were discussing when these movies are supposed to take place, and the movies themselves, the military seems to display a really highly advanced weaponry. Most famously, the Mazinger cannons, which just shoot out electricity in a way that I don't think anything we have, even to this day, is nothing like the Mazinger cannons.
Well, you never know. The military has some quote-unquote black projects. Maybe they do have a real-life Mazinger cannon.
And then there's, let's see, they definitely have... I'm pretty sure we don't have the technology to send a man to another planet beyond our moon yet. So that's another thing. Let's see. Another form of technology. I'm pretty sure Jet Jaguar. We still cannot produce giant robots yet, like Jet Jaguar.
Actually, I think the whole logic behind that is impossible because...
Yeah, you're right. Jet Jaguar is a very special case.
You'd have to be Ultraman in order to change size, because the reason why Ultraman can change size is because he's basically an alien.
Yeah, they pretty much. I have a feeling that the writers, they gave absolutely no thought into making Jet Jaguar work.
When they were writing Jet Jaguar, they were thinking that Ultraman. They were trying to target that towards an Ultraman audience because by that point, Ultraman was extremely popular in Japan.
Of course.
Even though the fact that Eiji Saburaya passed away a few years prior, they were still trying to milk at that, and it was obvious that it was that that popular because by that time they had Ultraman Jack, Ultraman Ace, and I think they were on.
Taro?
Correct me, Taro. I think they were on Taro.
I'm pretty sure Taro was after Ace. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right because
then Leo, then 80.
yeah, it was obvious that they were trying to market Jet Jaguar towards an Ultraman audience, and it worked.
Yeah. Wait. Was Godzilla popular in Megalon popular in America?
Actually, yeah, it was actually it did well at the box office because they had a really really good marketing for it. They tied the marketing with the '76 remake of King Kong. I think that's why it got so much. I think that's why it became a bit of successful at the box office because it had that much exposure.
Oh, well, speaking of Megalon, you know how I guess would you consider Atragon to truly be in continuity with the Godzilla series?
I don't know. I honestly don't know for a majority of the films that claim are in continuity with Godzilla. Especially with War of the Gargantuas. I really have a hard time believing that it's in continuity with the Frankenstein Conquers, much less. Because, like I said before in my review, there's a lot of things in Gargantuas that just contradicts elements from Frankenstein Conquers. But it's supposed to imply that it is in continuity with Frankenstein Conquers. There's just some different elements that they changed due to copyright infringements.
And if you remember from Frankenstein Conquers the World, aka Frankenstein versus Baragon, there's no way, like, watching that movie, you would have to ignore the fact that the Godzilla series exists in order to watch that movie because, like, during the majority of the time you had that character who's trying to go from scientist to scientist to see whether or not a dinosaur could survive by digging underground for millions of years. And everyone's like, a dinosaur surviving today? That's impossible. Like, excuse me, but did you not see that giant radioactive dinosaur that just destroyed Tokyo for like the 7th time and fought a giant bug and a 3-headed golden space dragon?
Well, yeah, what's really, really making me hard swallowing the fact that all the Showa era films are basically, they form one whole narrative and, basically they're in continuity with each other, is the fact that no one mentions these past events.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. I guess the only like direct time would be between Ghidorah the 3-headed monster and Monster Zero because not Monster Zero, Mothra versus Godzilla and Ghidorah the 3-headed monster because in Ghidorah the 3-headed monster they asked on that talk show the two kids ask the Shobijin how are the twins and they mentioned one of them died. Which is
nothing that's funny, but it's just the way you said, one of them died.
Yeah, he did. Oh, the other one's okay, though. Yeah, just dead. Yeah, he's dead now. We only have one Mothra. Why? Because there can be only one! Imagine that's how it happened. Like, you have two Mothras, they're holding swords in their little in their little mouths. There can only be one! Chang, 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 chang!
That's exactly what I was thinking about right now. Maybe they killed each other.
No. They're talking. They don't have like a high squeaky voice. They have like Sean Connery's voice. There can only be one. You are the last. I shall be the last of the Highlanders. My God, that would be awesome. I want someone to draw. If anyone out there who listens and who loves to draw, I want you to draw the larva Mothra twins fighting each other with Highlander swords, and on top of it, just saying there can be only one.
And then have the surviving Mothra just saying, "I am the last Mothra." Dragonheart reference.
Yes. Good show, David. I do love Toho Kingdom's explanation for what happened to Mothra, because you know how they made like a series of Flash cartoons, and they just said that the other Mothra just became like a lazy bastard and just sat at home, watch TV, go to the movies, eat popcorn, just do absolutely nothing to do with saving the world, just relaxing and just wasting time.
That sounds like my life every day.
Pretty much, pretty much our lives. Let's see. Any other time? Okay, another time, a direct reference to a previous film, Godzilla Raids Again. Do you remember when they bring back Dr. Yamane so he can to show
Oh yeah.
clips of the first Godzilla's rampage?
Well, I never really questioned whether that one was in continuity with Godzilla 54 because it was kind of obvious. What kind of struck out to me is that no one's reacting in this way, in a way like how Americans reacted after 9/11. You'd think they would because Godzilla literally flattened Tokyo, and you'd think it'd be like this horrific memory in the consciousness of the Japanese, but people are treating it like, oh, it's another Godzilla.
Well, yeah, that is true. I mean, well, by the time King Kong versus Godzilla came around, that was like, what, 7 years after Raids Again? 55. Yeah, like 7 or 8 years between the movies. So you've had like an entire decade without Godzilla. But then you have Mothra, which does treat Godzilla as a serious threat.
Right.
And then I guess it's by Ghidorah, like by the time you get to Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, that you kind of have a status quo. They've established a status quo now where it's like, oh, it's Godzilla once again.
Right. I think they do that a little bit too immediate with Godzilla Raids Again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, because I think it was like right after Godzilla's like second appearance, like after he supposedly kills Anguirus. That's another continuity WTF moment there, where like as soon as he's done fighting and he goes back to the sea, they all start partying and drinking and talking about getting married and stuff. So it's like, guys, you're not gonna talk about the giant monster battle that happened? No,
this is that's the weirdest class of.
It destroyed Osaka. No, that's not worthy conversation material. No, okay. Go ahead, David.
It just seemed like in that film, those characters, they hardly have any concern for the monsters, and when they do, it's for a very little limited of time. It's like they're just going on with their lives while the monsters are attacking in the background.
Mm-hmm. And even like after I forgot what was his name, but one of the characters sacrifices themselves rather stupidly, I might ask, because he just went like blindingly just went right near to Godzilla. Like they mourn his death. Kobayashi, I think that's his name. They kind of mourn his death for like a few seconds before saying, "Oh, hey, here's a new plan inspired by his death." Oh, I guess another direct continuity would be surprising. Interestingly enough, the next film, King Kong vs. Godzilla, where Godzilla is in that what I assume to be that same like mountain of ice that he was trapped in the last movie.
Yeah, that's what I always wondered. Godzilla traveled through the Arctic Circle in Godzilla Raids Again, right?
Yeah, I think so.
How did that iceberg manage to cross all the way to the Pacific Ocean?
Global warming? Well, now with Godzilla's appearance in the next movie, Mothra, how the hell do you think he got underground?
Well, I don't think he got underground. I think he was just washed up on the shore.
Mm-hmm.
And during the typhoon, he just got covered by so much rubble that it ended up burying him. And going back to King Kong versus Godzilla, I always said this before. I don't think King Kong won that fight. I still believe Godzilla won that fight because I said this to you before. Would you consider? Okay, let's think of this scenario.
Yeah.
There are two people fighting, and one dude sucker punches the other guy and runs away. Would you consider him the winner?
No.
Right. By default, the other guy would be the winner because he still stuck around.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If you watch King Kong vs. Godzilla, King Kong, wait, Godzilla is on top of King Kong as they were about to enter the water, as they entered the water, showing that King Kong has like a weight advantage. Godzilla has a weight advantage over King Kong, and the water is Godzilla's territory. You know, King Kong's a gorilla. Gorillas can't swim, as far as I know. And second, yes, King Kong surfaced and left. Godzilla, he can survive underwater. So I'm assuming that Godzilla gave him a smackdown, and King Kong just ran away. He went to the surface and ran away while Godzilla was like, yeah, I bet you, yeah, go ahead, run. You know who the king of the monsters is.
When I was a little kid, I tried to make up like some sort of BS excuse to justify why Godzilla lost, while at the same time trying to justify that it wasn't his fault. And I always tried to...
Like, oh, he didn't get enough sleep that day.
I always said that there was like some sort of volcanic eruption that swallowed him, and that would explain why he traveled underground in Mothra versus Godzilla. But now I just realized, well, King Kong left, so by default Godzilla won.
Yeah.
Because Kong just ran away. Or in this case, swam away.
Well, let's see. I guess moving away from King Kong and Mothra, another weird appearance of Godzilla's was Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, where Godzilla was randomly in a big mountain, only to be reanimated by lightning. You know what? I always like to think how he got there. I like to think that he and Anguirus and a couple other monsters on Monster Island, they got incredibly wasted that day on Soma berry juice. And Godzilla was like, hey, what if we were to go to this island over here and just continue having our after party? And then Godzilla was like, hey, I bet you I can bury myself in this mountain. Well, what do you say, guys? Yeah! And then he just like crashes into the mountain, ends up burying himself in, and then he just has like the biggest hangover ever that only a bolt of lightning can get him out of. And all his friends were just too drunk to care and just left without him.
I have a theory on the whole thing that why Godzilla is in there, but it's kind of confusing because if you know the history of Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, then you know it was supposed to be a King Kong film initially.
Right.
Well, what if, Lychee Island was actually Faroe Island, and when the Red Bamboo got there, they just started enslaving the natives that were already there, and then they expanded to Infant Island and King Kong, like King Caesar slept through all of it.
And
but at the last minute they replaced King Kong with Godzilla.
Yeah, that could work. I mean, like King Kong escapes and wait, Faroe Island. That's from King Kong Escapes.
No, Faroe Island is from King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh, okay, it's Mondo Island.
Mondo
right?
Island.
Okay.
King Kong Escapes.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, just have it be the same island from the previous film, and the same islanders. So.
That's one theory I have about it.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like, if this is still taking place in the Godzilla universe, in the Showa continuity.
Because think about it, because Faroe Island wasn't revisited in any other Toho films after King Kong vs. Godzilla, so you can naturally assume that no one gave a fuck about it, so here comes the Red Bamboo, who just came in and took over without anybody noticing.
Yeah. Although, then again, this is the same case for every other island that was brought up, be it Lychee Island, Solgel Island, Birth Island, Lagos Island.
All the same islands with different names.
Yeah, the only one anyone ever cared about was Monster Island. But then again, I think Monster Island might be Solgel Island from Son of Godzilla, because there was that line of dialogue where the characters go, "Oh, what do you know? This is a Monster Island."
I think it's a case of retcon, where you have a previously established thing, and all of a sudden it changes.
So you're saying that they retcon Solgel Island into Monsterland / Monster Island?
I'm saying they retconned all of the islands in the Toho films.
So like, whoa, dude, what if all these islands were like the same one? Well, I guess another form of like a continuity goof would be Mothra herself, him or herself, how she's a larva in let's see, what was it? Ghidra,
Destroy, Ghidorah, destroy all monsters.
and then but yet in Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, she's an adult. But then even in my review, I kind of like made sense of this by saying, oh, this is an adult version of the Ghidra larva, and she eventually gave birth and had the Mothra larva that we see in Destroy All Monsters.
Another thing I always question about Mothra is Mothra only a female? Because I've heard things that I think it was Mothra Leo from Reaper from Mothra is a male.
Yeah, that's a male. Like they always refer to it as Mothra, except I think there was only once where the Shobijin were singing a song, and in that song they referred to it as a he and called him Mothra Leo. So yeah, I think that's supposed to be a son. A son. But even then, how does it reproduce? Well, I'm assuming maybe they're kind of like asexual. They have genders, but they're asexual.
I don't think they reproduce sexually. I think it's a magical thing because at the beginning of Rebirth of Mothra,
Right.
she just some magical dust forms an egg. So I think it's just some sort of magical element. It has nothing to do with organs or reproductive organs or anything like that.
Yeah, because I've always questioned how like that tiny little bug body can lay that gigantic egg that's like twice the size of her like abdomen.
Then again, Mothra could also reproduce the same way real butterflies reproduce.
Well, yeah, they just lay like a bunch of tiny eggs, right?
Yeah.
Which is clearly not the case when you watch Mothra versus Godzilla.
You're right. Well, yeah, in the case of Mothra, you could probably throw out the scientific explanation that this is how Mothra babies are born, because Rebirth of Mothra clearly shows that it's created through magic.
Oh, 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 it's magic. You know. Sorry about that. And then, like, the whole transformation thing, when you look at Batra, it's like, poof, he's a butterfly now. Of death. That'd be another interesting poster I'd like to see. Batra, butterfly of death.
I wonder how Batra came to be born, because
Supposedly the Earth created Batra.
so they basically took one of the baby Mothras and made it black.
Yeah, they exposed it to a lot of like thrash, heavy metal sort of stuff. Maybe he went through like an emo phase and eventually like a grunge phase until he eventually got into like the hardcore death stuff.
I would love to see.
He went straight up goth.
I would love to see Jose Garcia make a meme with I don't know how he will do it, but it'll say, "How do you like your Mothra?" and then have a picture of like a black metal artist saying, "Make it black."
You heard it, Jose. As I mentioned before, do your duty.
Like one of those, "How do you like your coffee?" and then make it black type of memes, but replace it with Mothra.
How do you like your butterflies? Black. Dude, now I'm thinking like imagine Batra with like Enter Sandman like Metallica music behind him. I want a music video now. I want Adam to make like a Batra music video with heavy metal. But let's see, any other continuity, like weird continuity stuff in the movies? Would the Mysterians count as being part of the continuity?
Space Amoeba.
Space Amoeba?
Which one?
I brought up Mysterians.
Oh, Mysterians. Well, the Mysterians kind of like a I don't think no, I don't think so, because Final Wars doesn't reference it. None of the Toho films reference the Mysterians. The reason why I bring up Space Amoeba is because Final Wars doesn't reference the movie itself, but it uses stock footage of Gezora.
Right, and apparently, well, I guess when you look at Godzilla Tokyo SOS, it's kind of like a special case because it's apparently a sequel to the Showa continuity, where Space Amoeba is in continuity, and even Kamibas makes a little like cameo appearance as a dead corpse.
Which doesn't make sense because in Space Amoeba, all the kaiju are,
Died,
well,
right?
not just that, but they became big because of an alien symbiote.
Right, and in the characters in the movie treat Kamibas as like a full-on species,
Right.
where they even give it a scientific name, Megalomatomata.
I saw Tokyo SAS recently, and that's when I realized, oh, so that's where you got it from.
Yeah. Um, although I think it's called a Matamata turtle in real life, that the species that Kamibas is based off of.
Megalo.
Yeah, they just added Megalo because, hey, it's a kaiju. Um,
uh, Recently we made a commentary on I think it was the 10th episode of Ultraman, the GDOS episode,
yeah, yeah,
and we say that how that's the closest we'll ever see to Godzilla or Ultraman fighting Godzilla,
right.
and the closest we'll ever get to Godzilla fighting Gamera would be with Kamibas, and we were robbed of that fight.
That is true. Well, if you do look at, there was an episode of the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla series where he fights a giant turtle, and even
Well, that's Hanna-Barbera. I'm talking about legitimately live action,
well,
special
yeah.
effects, high-end, big budget Hollywood. I'm just kidding.
Well, I guess I shouldn't even bring up that episode of Godzilla the series where Godzilla, the one with Godzilla, Komodo Thrax, and that giant turtle.
Well, that's Zilla. That's not
Hey, hey,
Godzilla.
hey, hey! That's Zilla Junior.
Zilla Junior. I have to disagree that character is called Zilla Junior because okay, for the longest time I thought that Godzilla from the Millennium series was Godzilla Junior from Destroya, and when I believed that, I didn't really call that character Godzilla Junior. I just called it Godzilla
Mm-hmm.
because it's now an adult.
Mm-hmm.
You would drop the Junior.
Right, right.
So I think the same thing would apply with Zilla Junior. You would have to drop the Junior because it's already an adult.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, he grew up and he thought to himself, he wanted to change his image and he got rid of his name. He thought he was a man now. So he's up there where he's striding, very upright posture. He's like, I'm not Zilla Junior anymore. I'm Godzilla.
Since we're talking about continuity errors, even Godzilla the animated series has its own continuity errors too, because it is tied to the 1998 film, but
Mm-hmm.
it's tied in a weird way, where it kind of references 1998 in a way that didn't, where the events didn't really happen the way they're saying it did.
Well, I don't know because the first episode clearly you see, the first Zilla, he's dead, and then the egg. You're right. The egg hatches, and in the movie, Nick Totopoulos wasn't there when the egg hatched. Yet in the animated series, he was there.
Right.
Yeah, and there's little changes here and there.
Also, I don't. It's been a while since I've seen the first episode. I haven't seen the animated series entirely, like
Mm-hmm.
the entire series. I've seen quite a few episodes. The main ones I've seen were
Monster Wars.
the Monster Wars because those were the only ones available on DVD, but
Right, right. Now the whole series is now available on Netflix.
and on DVD, yeah, at a
Yeah.
time where I don't want it. But anyways, I think it was at the beginning of the first episode where you see that the city's not in flames, but there's like smoke rising out of some building. Like, how did that even happen?
I think it was the helicopters. Remember? You remember
Wait,
the
yeah.
helicopters? They destroyed everything, including the Chrysler Building.
Well, yeah, but then those same destruction things are not even featured in the third act.
That's true. Just there should be at least like maybe one or two holes in the ground and a broken taxi.
I forgot. I had a point with this, but I forgot.
Well, I guess like the biggest continuity. Well, it's not really the fault of the show itself, where you would see some monsters, like you saw monsters in the Monster Wars trilogy, even though those monsters didn't make their initial appearances until later. I think that's because the episodes were mixed around and were aired out of order, which I think was common during like the 80s and 90s.
was it common? Because I think when they aired Ultraman Tiga on Fox, a lot of the episodes were a bit mixed up.
Hmm.
I don't know if this was a case of mixing up the episodes in the wrong order or just in the case of reruns. Because I remember watching the episode Second Contact where the second Gazoto creature appears,
Hmm.
but then they aired the episode where it appears for the first time in the series
Hmm.
a few episodes later.
Yeah, yeah, not surprised, not really surprised about that. I mean, because I think like with Godzilla series, along with a lot of shows, they're just like they make the episodes in bulk, where they make all the episodes at the same time and then ship them to their distributors all in one package. And I'm sure someone messed up somewhere and end up airing the episodes out of order.
The
And I guess now things are much more sufficient.
times have changed.
Yep, hopefully for the better. Let's see. Now back to the continuity. Would you say Dogora is in continuity with the Showa series?
Maybe, I don't know.
Because I feel like maybe
For,
that
for
was...
one thing, I never seen Dogora
Hmm.
because I heard from fans that the creature doesn't even appear until like the last 5-10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it's not really it's not it's kind of I guess it's kind of like Manda in a way where it's like it's there, but I guess it's mostly focused on like the human stuff. The
Well, in the
human.
case of like Atragon, you have like the science fiction fantasy element to fall back on. With Dogora, I heard that it's just more like a crime film with a kaiju in it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, basically.
The one
Uh-huh.
film I really got to ask if it's in continuity with the series
Hmm.
is The War in Space, because they call the Gotengo in Final Wars the Gotengo. They call it that in Atragon too, right?
What was that?
They call the Atragon in Atragon the Gotengo, right?
I think so. Like I think
In the Japanese version.
because yeah, yeah, yeah. The Gotengo, the Atragon is called the Gotengo in the Japanese version, but the reason why they call it the Atragon in the English version was because the Japanese suggest Atragon as a name for Manda, but apparently there was a miscommunication, so they used Atragon as the name for the ship rather than the the underwater Chinese dragon.
Now, the reason why I asked this is because the ship in the War in Space is called the Goten, and that's where I thought where Gotengo came from.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of like they're rather like they're very similar looking ships, huh?
Yeah, because they both have like some sort of driller, and the Goten has a lot more in common with the Gotengo from Final Wars,
Uh-huh.
with the exception of the whole revolver thing on the side of the ship.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like personally, I haven't seen War in Space, um, but I would assume like it's just much like Latitude Zero and Battle in Outer Space. They're just like a bunch of space themed films with, and because they don't have any giant monsters in them, there's no really like I don't think there's any real indication outside of some similar uh, vehicles. Because even in Battle in Outer Space, a lot of people like to say it's a sequel, semi-sequel to the Mysterians because they use the same ships. But I think it was only because they just reused the same props. Even the satellite from I think it was the satellite from the beginning of from Battle in Outer Space. That was I can't remember where, but it was used again somewhere. I think it was in King Kong versus Godzilla, or
Yeah, I remember it was used in the U.S. version of King Kong versus Godzilla for their their distribution satellites supposedly.
yeah, yeah. There's like this is Eric Carter with the news.
I don't think it counts though because it's in the U.S. version, but not in the Japanese version if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but I could have sworn that ship was used elsewhere. I
So,
don't know.
I think it was left in Monster Zero because there's like this some sort of substation you see that
Hmm.
the rocket that Akira Takarada and Nick Adams used to get back. You see some sort of substation in the background,
Uh-huh.
and I think it was left there from a previous Toho film for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, and I really doubt that Battle in Outer Space would even with like the Godzilla series, I don't think Battle in Outer Space would even take place in that sort of continuity. Although it kind of makes sense because there's like interstellar planetary like cross-planetary traveling, but you think that you would have like Godzilla saying, "Hey, who turned the gravity off?"
Now that I think about it, the plots to the Mysterians, Battle in Outer Space, the War in Space, they're all the same. They might as well be remakes of each other.
Yeah, yeah. Although I guess there's some, like some. I'm assuming there's like some sort of gimmick between all three movies. I mean, with one you have a giant robot here and a giant satellite cannon. Battle in Outer Space, you have they have characters going to I think it was the moon. Was it the moon base or another planet? They're just
Yes,
traveling.
the moon base. It was
Oh
the moon
yeah,
base.
they get to travel to the moon and have like moon stuff going on, and with War in Space you have the Goten.
Right.
Kind of like
What distinguishes War in Space from the other ones that it's basically Star Wars, the Japanese version of Star Wars.
yeah, yeah, makes sense. I thought it was I thought the Star Wars ripoff was called Message from Space.
Uh, that's one of the many Star Wars ripoffs, but War in Space was made during the time when Star Wars was released, and Toho wanted to cash in on that. And
Okay.
there's elements in War in Space that are very reminiscent of Star Wars.
Hmm.
Like there's this chase sequence where one of the characters is being pursued by one of the enemy aircrafts,
Hmm.
and they replicate the same thing you see in the first Star Wars film where
Hmm.
they're on the Death Star and they're crossing the thing.
Hmm.
It's that thing where Obi-Wan Kenobi says, "Use the Force, Luke."
Oh yeah, yeah. They're going
They
through like
replicate,
the trenches, right?
yeah, where they're going through the trenches. They replicate that same maneuver, the whole vertigo going
Uh-huh.
fasting, but inside a cave.
Oh. Imagine you even hear like some like Japanese Darth Vader going, "The Force is strong with this one."
I think Message from Space probably might have something similar like that. I haven't seen it yet, but it's on Netflix, and I'll eventually get to it.
Uh-huh. So yeah, when looking at the Showa continuity as a whole, it really seems like the majority of these movies, like maybe like 80% of these movies, really do work better as individual standalone features as opposed to a continuous story. Especially when you get into the later Showa stuff, where it's just Monster of the Week, Godzilla comes to save the day sort of business. I guess
I,
like. Hmm.
I think they initially made them just like that, but then they ended up, considering, we never really did reference these events in this film, but we can tie them all together in one film.
And they didn't even thought of how that would even work. They were just like, hey, let's just take all the suits that we have left and put them in one movie.
Right.
Mhm.
Let's say that let's say that like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films or the
Mhm.
Chris Nolan films are their own continuity,
Yeah.
and along comes a separate film that you assume is supposed to be in its own continuity, but somehow
Yeah.
it implies that it is in continuity with either of these films.
Spider-Man versus Batman, Dawn of Kickassery.
Godzilla against Mechagodzilla did that. It's
Mhm.
supposed to make us believe that it's in continuity with Godzilla 54,
Yeah.
Gargantuous, Mothra
Mothra.
61.
I think Rodan was also documented somewhere in like a Toho book or something.
Right. I mean, when they first made 54, Mothra 61, and Gargantuous, they didn't,
Mentioned Godzilla.
yeah, they didn't make it with the implications that they are connected to each other or that they're even in the same universe. But
Mhm.
here comes Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, who says, "Oh yeah, that happened," and they and the films that don't even mention the events. Like you'd
Yeah.
think that major events like those would be at least referenced in those films.
Yeah, yeah. Like, oh, they did that in. I was gonna ask you this. What which couple of movies in the Showa series do you feel like work the best in terms of continuity?
Let's see.
If you were to pick, like, let's say a pair of films that work so great with each other.
And they are in continuity with each other?
Yeah.
Probably Mothra 61 and Ghidorah Three-Headed Monster.
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of does imply that the events in 61 did happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like pretty much the events of Mothra like lead into the events of Ghidra, where you have a Godzilla who isn't really destroying the city anymore, more that he's just going after Rodan. So I have a feeling that maybe like thanks to Mothra, Godzilla is no longer targeting humanity, but he still hates it. At the
Right.
begin, when we first see Godzilla at the beginning of Ghidra. Uh, I guess for me, I'm not sure. I really do love the continuity between Ghidorah and Mothra, but I would probably have to say Mechagodzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla.
Huh. Yes, well, there's like this very heavy shift in the tone.
I guess so, sure, but I always felt like maybe it's because it's a. I guess you can say it's like the first time where it's like a direct sequel, where this is still a continuation, just with, although it still has the same different set of characters, just like every other Godzilla movie in the Showa series.
Right.
But I do love that scene where Katsura, she's under hypnosis, but she does bring up the fact that that Japan has been attacked by numerous monsters time and time again, which is, I think, if memory serves me right, they do show a bit of Manda from Destroy All Monsters, so it's like she could see into the future. So yeah, the Showa continuity. A somewhat decent attempt at trying to turn all these movies together, but it just falls apart when you think about it too much.
Right.
So with that said, I believe we have come to the end of our first section of Shuwatch, and we'll see you guys after the break. And we're back with the second section of Shuwatch. Now, normally this would be Adam's time to shine, but because he isn't here, I like to talk about something that passed, and that is E3, the Electronics Entertainment Expo in Los Angeles, California, where it's kind of like in a way, like as David described it to me early, before recording, it's like the Comic-Con of the video game industry, where, especially for gamers, I mean, this is like the biggest time of the year for people who are really big into video games, because it's at this point where all the biggest video game companies like Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, Ubisoft, EA, they all come out and show their investors their biggest projects for the coming year, and try also use the media, like the video game journalists and websites like GameSpot, IGN, and even people on YouTube like Angry Joe or Pro Jared just come out and try out all their demos and report back and get the hype train started for all these games. So I want to ask you, David. I don't think we've ever talked about E3 before, because we don't really talk about video games that much. But how big are you into E3, and how long have you been aware of it?
Well, I've been aware of it for quite some time. I just never showed that much interest to it. I mean, I do have interest in it when there's games presented that I am interested in. This year, of course, being Metal Gear Solid 5.
Mm-hmm. Which we will definitely cover very soon.
But the one game that really stood out for me from all the rest, and you're going to question why, was Destiny. And it wasn't because of like the gameplay or anything related to that. It was just the fact that Microsoft is really, really trying to sell this product to the gamers. Because I heard...
Wait, isn't Destiny a PS4 game?
It's a multi-platform game,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's for old-gen consoles and current-gen consoles. I'm getting it for the PS4.
Right, of course, because pretty much the majority... I think all the Sons of Serizawa are PS3 owners. Yeah,
we're all supporters of Sony.
Right. It's nothing personal against Microsoft. It's just a brand loyalty sort of thing.
Okay, I'm going to get into this after my explanation why Destiny stood out.
Yeah.
Like I said, they were really, 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 really focused on to the marketing of Destiny, because they're really trying to sell this game to the gamers. Mm-hmm. Because the budget, I believe it was $500 million for the game.
Jesus.
And that's not even counting the marketing. The marketing, I heard, was close to, which is the budget for a Hollywood film. And
I think that's the budget for 2 Hollywood films.
Yeah. Imagine how many independent films you could produce with that amount of money.
Oh, Jesus
no,
Christ.
with the amount of money for the game, not the marketing. The game.
Dude, imagine how many movies Roger Corman can make with that much money. That's enough money to make like 20 movies for the next 10 years.
Okay, I said I was gonna buy Destiny.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like that much anything impressive. I am intrigued with the story. Mm-hmm. I love what they're doing with this whole warriors route, that they're chosen by this sphere in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know much about it. I think that's why I don't have that much, like, not confidence, but more like faith in the game. And I think Microsoft is starting to realize that it just doesn't look like that much something groundbreaking.
Yeah, because when I look at the trailer for Destiny, all I think is this is reminding me a lot of Halo, even like the designs and everything. I think this game was designed by Bungie. Am I right?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard, seems. Oh yeah, it's definitely Bungie. I just looked it up, and it is definitely kind of weird where it's like we're not making Halo anymore, but now we're making Sony Halo, PlayStation Halo.
I mean, the thing is that they're focusing on the whole multiplayer online massive world thing, the whole open world thing.
Mm-hmm.
rather than the whole originality aspect of it. At least that's what it looks like to me. Until I play the game, I have to give it proper judgment. But it just doesn't look that impressive. Like they're trying to build the hype over a game that doesn't look that much something worth hyping over. It looks like a standard mediocre shooter, which is the reason why I'll get it because it looks fun. But it doesn't look like this is the next Halo or this is the next genre defining game.
Yeah. Let's see. A game that I was really invested in was Little Big Planet 3 because I am a huge fan of the Little Big Planet series. I've played the hell out of Little Big Planets 1, 2. I played quite a bit of Little Big Planet karting and the PSP version, and I played a little bit of the Vita version because my friend has a Vita. What were you gonna say?
Is it that game with the little voodoo doll thing?
Yeah, little hacky sack little character.
What is Little Big Planet? I heard things about it. I just never got interested because it looks like a child's game.
Well, here's the thing. It's definitely a very cutesy looking game, but imagine it Super Mario Brothers, where you're able to create your own levels and create your own character. You create your own costumes for your character, and just like it's like the sky's the limit when it comes to creating your own levels. And I don't create my own levels, but the beautiful thing about Little Big Planet is that because there are so many people creating levels every single day, you are left with an endless supply of content for you to play with, as long as you have an online connection, of course. And so, yeah, that's what I love about Little Big Planet. It's a game I always go back to every now and then because there's always something new for me to play. And it's like 4-player. Oh, the 4-player. You can play up to 4 players, and the 4-player in Little Big Planet is so much better than the 4-player in like New Super Mario Brothers for the Wii or Wii U.
Really?
Yeah, because with New Super Mario Brothers for the Wii and Wii U, you're constantly accidentally killing each other, picking each other up, and throwing each other, stealing each other's power-ups. Like, God damn it, why did you eat all 4 mushrooms, you idiot? It's just like complete...
That's one of the reasons why it's so fun, because you can fuck around with your teammates.
No. That is a game where if you end up like... If someone ends up jumping and then you end up jumping on top of them into a pit, you're gonna end up like suffering like the Red Foreman treatment, having a foot shoved up your ass.
You said it's like Mario, and I'm looking at screenshots of the gameplay on Google, and I may give it a try. I mean, how long has it been since the first one was released?
Oh, the first one was released in 2007, and you can easily get like the Game of the Year edition for Little Big Planet 1 and 2 for like $25, I think.
Ooh. Nigga, I'm gonna get it for $5.
Dude, there's a Metal Gear Solid 4 costume pack and level pack for the first Little Big Planet game.
Really?
Yeah. Look it up. Look up Old Snake Sackboy. Or
I'm looking like at a Kratos skin for one of the little.
That was a pre-order from the very first game. I got that. It also came with like a Minotaur and Medusa costume. But look up Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now.
It's so goddamn adorable, isn't it? You have to admit it.
Yeah. Can you play as the snake skin?
Yeah. All the costumes are playable.
For which game? The first one or the second one?
Oh, that's the beautiful thing. All the DLC will work between games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now I have to get the game. And it's like Mario, you say?
It's like Mario, yeah. But here's the thing: when they created the first Little Big Planet game, the developers were making it so that you can create your own Mario-like levels, like for platforming, running, jumping. But people got so creative that they were able to create other genres of games using the level editors. So for Little Big Planet 2, the developers gave gamers more tools to make other kinds of games, like a let's say a side-scrolling shooter or a first-person shooter or a racing game or an RPG or a beat 'em up. Again, like the sky's the limit. It's only based on the limit of the player's creativity. So yeah, that's more content. So I would recommend getting both Little Big Planet 1 and 2 because the story mode levels are also a lot of fun. And even like the story for Little Big Planet 2 is very simple but still quite charming. And also all the content you can get from Little Big Planet 1, all the costumes and stuff, you can carry over into Little Big Planet 2.
Uh,
So that's double the content right there. So yeah, Little Big Planet 3 for the PS4, and I think it's still also coming out for the PS3. For the first time you have a character other than Sackboy, which is the little voodoo doll character as you like to describe it. Now they have three other characters. One that's like a bird that's meant to fly. You have a little four-legged dog-like creature that's made to like run and jump off walls. And you have like a bigger looking Sackboy, whom I'm assuming he's like the muscle sort of guy. So now you have multiple characters with different abilities. So again, that also will lead to hopefully a lot more different unique styles of gameplay on top of all the new additions that they will most certainly add to the already expansive toolkits for the level editing and costume editing. So I guess there's like one more thing from like the Sony conference that we were really excited for, which you mentioned earlier, which was the trailer for Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pains, right?
yeah.
And just like previous trailers, this one really goes into like a very artsy direction, wouldn't you say?
Kind of, sort of. I don't find Hideo Kojima's approach with the whole music video thing artsy.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like he's doing this thing where like, oh, I like the song and I want the world to know it, so here it is.
Or you know what? In that case, I guess it's more like an AMV, huh?
Yeah. Basically like a high grade
Anime music video.
Yeah.
Just show random clips out of context and put music over it.
The one that really seemed outlandish to me was the one that I think it was the first trailer where Hideo Kojima used this song. I think it was called Garbage. I'm not sure if that was the name of the band or the art or the song.
Yeah.
But it was that one trailer that went like, "We're not your kind of people." Surprised I remembered that because I actually watched that trailer a million times.
Was that the trailer where that showed Big Boss getting out of that hospital?
I believe so. Yes. It was the trailer before the trailer had the game's official theme song, which I believe is the best trailer so far out there because I believe it's well edited and it kind of gets the point of the story straight across while adding some gameplay elements into the trailer, unlike Kojima's edited trailers.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really weird when it comes to like the directing with Hideo Kojima's directing, especially when a lot of people criticize the Metal Gear Solid series for being too much like movies. Although it's kind of funny how you and we don't have a problem with that, and we're kind of like little like movie buffs in a way.
Well, that's one of the things I look forward to whenever I play a Metal Gear Solid game is the cutscenes. And when I got the HD collection, I kind of was a bit disappointed with Peace Walker in terms of the cinematics. I think the gameplay was awesome, but the cinematics was kind of like all comic booky. And the only legitimate cinematic that had any CG rendering is this mission you're supposed to unlock when when Paz is stealing Metal Gear Zeke, which I never got to because it's fucking impossible to unlock. I'm gonna put this out there. Peace Walker is the hardest Metal Gear installment out there.
Especially, dear God, help you when you get to those tanks
Oh god.
earlier in the game. Um, but where was I going with this? Oh, what were some aspects of the? Oh no, wait, I was gonna remember with Hideo Kojima being like such a big fan of American movies and spies, uh, not controversies, conspiracies, and espionage. I wonder why he just doesn't up and make his own movie.
I've always believed that it was like some sort of management thing. I
Hmm.
mean, it's pretty obvious he's had some sort of inspiration to be a filmmaker
Hmm.
because he is a movie buff and he makes obvious references to movies in his work. The most obvious is this. Oh, it was this.
Godzilla.
No, not Godzilla. No, it's a game he made during the '90s. It was a computer game, which was an obvious like nod to Blade Runner.
Hmm.
It's the one with these body snatchers in it.
Oh yeah, wasn't like the Metal Gear Mark II based off of that little robot?
I think kind of. But anyways, I think he just stayed in video game because that's what he knew what to do, and he probably didn't know how to get into the movie
Filming. Yeah,
business,
yeah.
or it was to like a thing. Well, I'm already this far into video games, might as well stick with it.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Although I really want to say, I really want Hideo Kojima to go back to the Zone of the Enders franchise.
I still haven't played those games yet.
I bet you can find the HD collection for very cheap at a very cheap price now.
Yeah, I'm still trying to be convinced to get it because I've seen the gameplay,
Oh,
and
the
it seems
gameplay's
like
oh, it's so fluid, man. I mean, it's so smooth, so fluid. It's like none other giant robot game I've played before.
I'll have to watch more of the gameplay to be convinced.
Oh, is there? No, I guess there's not a demo. Um, but yeah, I want to see, yeah, him return to that franchise. But anyways, what were some of the things that caught your interest the most with the latest Metal Gear Solid 5 trailer?
Well, the trailer doesn't show any gameplay at all. It just
Right.
shows you the cinematics, but it really gives you like some hints
Mm-hmm.
of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that really caught my attention was the end where Snake,
Mm-hmm.
or Big Boss, is in the same scene as Ghostface. I guess that's what they're calling him, the
Mm-hmm.
the villain.
Right.
And it just makes me ask, what's going on? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
is he in allegiance with him?
Mm-hmm. And the big problem not big problem, the big reveal for me would be the what was the name? That you see like the oil rig from Metal
Yeah,
Gear Solid 2.
yeah, the big shell,
The big shell, yeah. That was a surprise for me.
which
It,
is kind
hmm.
of weird because in Sons of Liberty, the big shell is located just off New York City,
Uh-huh.
and so I'm assuming that this big shell is not
And did they ever establish a date for when Big Shell was first made?
the one for Metal Gear Solid 2, or
Yeah, yeah, for 2.
it supposedly was made immediately after the tanker incident.
Okay, so yeah, that cannot be the same tanker then.
I think this is just like probably just I saw it as a nod towards past Metal Gear games
Mm-hmm.
because there were a lot of references to the old Metal Gear games. But I
Yeah.
think this is just like, oh, this is how it started. This is like how the Big Shell started. This is how Metal Gear Rex came to be.
Yeah, wait. See. Didn't Otacon created Metal Gear Rex? Or oh no, his dad, right? Because we see his dad in the game.
Yeah, I think it was.
Because
I think yeah, I think it was created by his father because Solid Snake has faced it in the past games.
mm-hmm.
So it was created before Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering when are they going to reintroduce the original Metal Gear from the first Metal Gear game? You know, the one that's just like one big metal pod with chicken legs and a rocket launcher on the side.
I think they might reveal it during the Phantom Pain, probably.
Because I wonder how many more games are they going to make with Big Boss before they finally go into the events that it's like, here it is, here's Big Boss, here's Metal Gear, and here's him recruiting his son, Solid Snake.
I don't know. I keep thinking that this may be the payoff game, but I
Mm-hmm.
keep thinking they probably might make more Metal Gear games because
Mm-hmm.
there's no way in hell that they're just going to put that to rest. It's a franchise. It's a property that makes money like Halo.
I know,
They're
which
they're,
which
they're
is
just going to keep making more.
which is exactly why I want another Zone of the Enders games. You know, give Metal Gear Solid a break. Give me more giant robots. So yeah, that was the biggest part. Part. Going over to Nintendo for a bit. You're a pretty big fan of Super Smash Brothers, right?
Yes, I am.
Uh, how what has been your experience with the franchise so far?
Well, the first one I played was the one on the Nintendo 64,
Mm-hmm.
and my favorite one is the one on the Wii.
Oh, Brawl, huh?
Brawl. There we go. I was about to call it Melee, but no, that can't be right.
Yeah, you probably have like so many Nintendo fans going after you if you were to say that.
Right.
Although I wonder if we even have how many of our fan base, if you can even call it that, a fan base, are like big hardcore like video game like Nintendo fans. Oh
Well,
well.
I don't know about Nintendo, but I'm pretty sure we have some gamers out there.
Yeah, definitely. So, did you see the trailer from last year's E3 when they announced Brawl, not Brawl, but the new Super Smash Brothers? And
I seen the Mega Man trailer, and
oh, thank God, thank you.
that's the one that kind of like
hmm
made me think. You know what? I probably need a Wii U now because if anything, Mega Man might be the reason why I should get the game. I mean,
hmm
get the Wii U.
And since then, they've announced a lot of other new characters, such as Little Mac from Punch-Out, the new Pokemon Greninja from the recent Pokemon X and Y games, who's a ninja frog. um, they also, what was another new character they showed? Oh, Rosalina from the Mario Galaxy games. They showed a lot of returning characters, of course. They have Charizard. He's back, except it's just Charizard by himself, not he doesn't have Squirtle and Ivysaur with him. Uh, let's see. I'm pretty sure I'm blanking out, but there's like a whole bunch of other characters, both old and new. But they announced three characters at this year's E3. The first being the Mii's from which were these like little avatars that you can create on your Wii, and the Mii's have been featured in almost like in like tons of Nintendo games. And so you actually get to create a character either based on you or people you know or like famous celebrities and whatnot, and make that turn them into a fighting character. And I thought that they were all just going to be like generic Mario clones, but I found it interesting that you get to have three different versions of what kind of fighter your Mii would be, either hand-to-hand combat brawler or a swordsman or a Mega Man or Samus style gun shooter.
Um,
Oh yeah, you were gonna say something?
yeah. Have you heard of like? Well, it's not really controversy. It's more like, oh, this happened in the gaming community today. I
hmm
think it was the owner of no, not the owner. Some important name
hmm
at Sony got banned from Nintendo's Wii universe for, I guess, saying comments like "I love PlayStation," something like that. And with this whole me thing
hmm
in the new Super Smash, I just thought, what if I just create Dante from Devil May Cry?
You know what? You're free to do so. I'm pretty sure a Dante Me already exists. Like several hundred versions of Me Dantes exist now. I mean, heck, like on my 3DS, I created a couple Mii's that look like Bane and RoboCop and Rorschach.
Nintendo can't ban me for that. I'll
Nope.
just say that's discrimination. What if I actually look like that? I'll just dye my hair before the trial.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, yeah. You're definitely not going to get in any trouble for creating a me. I guess if you make like an inappropriate me, like one where you move the eyes and eyebrows and mustaches to where it makes like a phallic object, if you know what I'm saying.
You can do that?
There are people, like I said, people have been very creative with their
Ugh.
me's. Just I don't know. Maybe if you were like to Google up like top 10 most offensive me's ever, and then there you go. Have that and then Super Smash Brothers. I shall be Dickface Man.
This is not really relevant
Mhm.
to that, but it's kind of similar. But on my Xbox, I have like an Ultraman skin as my avatar.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if they have any access to that, because
Like someone.
Nintendo is a Japanese company and
Uh-huh.
Microsoft is American, so it's surprising that that company added Ultraman skins for your avatars. I wonder why they can't do that with the Mii's.
Dude, that's awesome. But for me's, there's never been like any downloadable costumes or anything like that.
I don't know.
Ooh, what if you were to create a Hitler me? Or like
I
a
wonder if that's possible.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, and or maybe like a Kim Jong Un me, or just like Kim Jong Il versus Hitler in Super Smash Brothers to see who is the worst dictator of all time. But yeah, like the other character that they revealed was Palutena from the Kid Icarus games, and I was really surprised, and I loved how they had an anime style trailer to introduce her. It was really cool seeing Pit and Link go at it. It makes me really hope that maybe this is like a teaser for some sort of future Super Smash Brothers anime. Oh my god, that would be so awesome.
Um, it's a. Didn't you say that they didn't want any cutscenes
Yeah,
in the game?
it was so weird because like I think it was Sakurai, the developer of the Smash Brothers series as well as the Kirby series. Um, he went on record stating that he didn't want any sort of like cutscenes similar to the Smash Brothers Brawls cutscenes in this new installment because I guess with the last game, people were uploading all the cutscenes on YouTube, and he thought that he didn't want his reasoning for taking out the cutscenes was because he figured that these cutscenes were uploaded to YouTube, then people won't play the game, which is really asinine considering that most people play Smash Brothers for the fighting itself as opposed to the actual story.
Right, and the cutscenes are not even that long anyway.
Right, right, and they're really like outside of like a couple of funny moments, character interactions. It's not like it's a deep or interesting story that they're telling. Really, I mean the characters don't even talk.
Right. And
Yeah.
I was going to say this earlier, but I wanted to save it for this specific part.
Mhm.
And I said something like, or along the lines that Nintendo lately has been very anal about their property being uploaded on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. I think like at first, I think they're having some sort of agreement where it's like if you were to have some sort of Nintendo, even this even goes to for like big name YouTube like Let's Players or game reviewers, where if you show footage of Nintendo games, then they get a piece of the pie. You know, all the money you make out of your videos, you know, some of that goes to Nintendo.
I think I heard this. It's a theory. It's not an
Hmm.
actual researched fact. It's a theory I heard from this gaming channel on YouTube,
Hmm.
and they said that the reason why, probably why, the Wii U didn't become as successful as the Wii or any of Nintendo's previous products is
Hmm.
because of the lack of word of mouth. Because they believe that the way games become successful
Hmm.
is word of actually nowadays is word of mouth on YouTube.
Hmm.
And I don't know if this is true or not, but they say that Flappy Bird probably might have gotten the rep it did because of this YouTube gamer called PewDiePie. He did it.
Oh, you
People
mean
got in.
PewDiePie?
Yeah.
Oh,
However,
guy.
however you pronounce it.
PewDiePie.
However, they say like, oh, that guy. Anyways, it got exposure on this, well-known channel.
Yeah, yeah.
And it got enough exposure. People got into it, and then it just spread like a disease. And Nintendo's not getting that recognition because it's shooting itself in the foot.
Yeah, definitely, and it's really like causing quite like a stir amongst the gamers, and which that's their audience, that's their core like demographic right there. Although it's really interesting, and maybe they're starting to loosen a bit because even like I'm not sure if you know this, but with Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U, there's a feature that lets you record and upload gameplay directly from your game to YouTube.
Really? So similar to what the PS4 does, where you can share your video?
Yeah, pretty much exactly like that. Although there's not a whole lot of customization. Just like here's like a series of clips from like the replay of your race.
Didn't they open up with something like we're all about quality and we know what quality is? Like it was an obvious slam towards Microsoft.
Well, that's not surprising considering what they pulled last year, back when Xbox One was still had that always online policy, and you cannot play used games or borrow other people's games. And Sony came out was like, here's an instructional video on how to share your PS4 games. Step 1, lend the game. Here's my game. Here's my game. Thank you.
It's
the end.
It's so funny because the Xbox One is practically a PS4 now.
Right. They took away all that always online stuff. They took away the no used games BS, and yeah, now it's just like everyone like the PS4, and every way even like the price went down. I think like within the last couple of months. So yeah, all it boils down to are games.
I was gonna. I keep losing my train of thought. Anyways,
Smash Brothers.
No, it had something to do with the Xbox One. Oh yeah, they removed the Kinect.
Yeah, they started selling Kinect-less.
I think that
for Xboxes, Xbox Ones.
Wasn't that the whole reason for the down pricing?
I think so, yeah, but I think maybe the down pricing started before that.
I think it was probably like the demand.
Yeah, and even what's interesting is that even throughout the whole Microsoft conference, they didn't even talk about the Kinect anymore. And even with like the PlayStation conference, I don't think they even brought up the PlayStation Vita. So maybe they kind of found like the Vita and the PlayStation Move and the Kinect. They're like, oh, this is like a lost cause now. And even like with when Nintendo strangely didn't really show any 3DS games outside of Super Smash Bros. For 3DS, which I'm going to get because I'm too cheap to buy a Wii U.
Well, I'm gonna get a Wii U. It's really cheaper now if you get it on eBay used. It's not like when I try to find my PS4, I went on both eBay and Craigslist, and they had it for basically the same amount that you would pay at a GameStop or a retail store, and there were some that were like ridiculously higher than the actual amount. And not me. My stepmother recently bought my stepbrother a Wii U, which costed around $130 around there, or 200. And well, it was through bidding. It wasn't like
right.
a pay now thing. But yeah, you can get the games.
That's pretty cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get the system for that amount now.
Okay. Cool. But the thing is, with me, I've always wanted to have a portable Super Smash Brothers, and I've been playing with my 3DS a whole lot more than any other console of my home consoles outside like the PS3. And I don't know, man, like being able to do all of that, it's just like I don't know, it's just like with the Wii U, there isn't really that game that really makes me want to get it outside of Smash Brothers. And so yeah, I kind of feel like it's much more cheaper to just get it for a system I already have, and I I guess I'm starting to become more of a portable gamer than a console gamer, considering it's been a while since I purchased any games. I don't think I've purchased any games this year really outside of a used PS3 game called Dynasty Warriors Gundam 3 that came out like a couple years ago.
I bought quite a few games, and most of them I only played like for a while, then I stopped playing.
Yeah, I guess that maybe that's why I don't play console games that much because they tend to have like the story mode, and then once you beat the story, that's it basically it. Like God of War or something. I mean, not bashing God of War because I like this franchise, but it's one of those things where like once you beat the story, there's nothing to it. But with portable games, they tend to have like a lot more lasting content and multiplayer.
Right.
But yeah, but I guess we each have our own thing. To each his own.
Yeah.
Now, well, before we move on to the last character reveal for Smash Brothers, Palutena, I like that they still have like the quirky, witty banter between Pit and Palutena, which was exactly as it was from the recent 3D, not the recent really anymore, but the 3DS game Kid Icarus Uprising. It's so funny seeing the relationship between the two, because at first I thought going into Kid Icarus Uprising, I thought that Palutena would be kind of like the Princess Zelda, where she's like very stoic and serious and only seen in the background. But no, she's pretty much telepathically talks to Pit like throughout the entire adventure, and they're always kind of having this like back and forth banter, and she's kind of like acts like an older sister mentor towards Pit, where she's like, "Oh, Pit, you silly." You silly goof, that's not how you do things. And here having this goddess being in the game and just actually showing off what she can do is, pretty amazing. So yeah, the final character, I honestly thought that it was too good to be true, but here he was, the original like video game icon himself, motherfucking Pac-Man. The goddamn Pac-Man. The original Pac, before Manny Pacquiao, the original Pac-Man himself.
Well, it's not like Manny Pacquiao eats blue, red people. I was about to make a racist joke and then it just backfired.
No, he beats up those blue-red people. That's what he does. But dude, imagine you can make a me out of Manny Pacquiao and then have Manny Pacquiao Pac-Man versus Pac-Man. Obviously, you would have to make Manny Pacquiao into a me brawler.
That's another idea right there.
But yeah, I was so happy when I saw the trailer. I was surprised that they showed the trailer after the original Nintendo conference ended. Well, it wasn't really a conference. It was more like a streaming...
A presentation.
Yeah, an online streaming presentation, because I think it was last year that they stopped having live presentations and just went the online route.
Which is kind of smart, because
no,
when I watch E3,
mm-hmm.
I really want to get into the trailer. I just want them to stop talking.
Yeah, they just get a bunch like some random actor or whatever and have them awkwardly make jokes, trying to stir up the audience while the audience are like there's this guy, I think he went by the nickname of Mr. Caffeine, and they got him for I think Activision or EA. And he was trying so hard to be funny, but he was like, "All right, guys, now I'm gonna make jokes about dicks and whatever, and sex jokes, and here's new Tom Clancy game, Rainbow Six. But first, let's gonna make a flashback." Everyone's like, "Shut the fuck up." Oh, it was maybe it was Ubisoft. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, like he's like the low point of like E3 stuff.
Well, I don't mind commentaries unless they're doing a tutorial on like the gameplay.
Yeah, or that's kind of like what Reggie Fils-Aimé used to do. Although he would kind of like take forever. It's like here at Nintendo, we are going to revolutionize with the new motion controller and this accessory we are quickly going to abandon a few months later. But yeah, what were your thoughts when you first saw that Pac-Man was in Smash Bros?
My first thought was, wait, he's a Nintendo character?
Well, he's Namco, and Namco is surprisingly enough working on this new game.
Oh well, it makes sense for them to bring Pac-Man. But what I really liked about the trailer is that you have like some of the abilities that the original Pac-Man has, like that whole he oversizes into the shape of the original Pac-Man, and he chases the characters throughout the map.
Yeah, yeah. And also he also seems to have the power of Namco at his literally in his hands, where he has a bunch of power-ups from other Namco games like Galaga and Dig Dug, and just use them to his advantage, and just use them as like little weapons or power-ups or whatever. And I thought it was very interesting. They went with like the I think it was like late 90s, early 2000s design from the Pac-Man World Series, as opposed to the more recent Pac-Man redesign from the TV series Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures. Where it's like not I don't know, I just have like a lot of nostalgia for Pac-Man itself, and I really love that super simplified design. And the reason why I was so happy for Pac-Man is that like again like Pac-Man was like one of the very first video games I ever played, along with Pokemon and what was it, and Super Mario Land. And even my parents, they grew up playing with like Pac-Man and Galaga and a lot, and so it was funny. I showed this trailer to my mom, and she was like, "Oh, it's Pac-Man. I know that guy. Oh, why is he fighting Mario? I don't want him to fight." But yeah, it's like so. I think it's like so amazing to have like several of the most iconic mascots now with Mario, Sonic, Mega Man, Pac-Man all together in one game, like for the first time ever, and having them like duke it out. Plus, it was really interesting that the end of the trailer show that, hey, we have with Pac-Man, Mr. Game & Watch, Mario, and Donkey Kong, we now have four of the oldest icons of video game history.
Yeah, I don't mean to get off topic, but it's related to E3.
Okay.
The one thing that Microsoft presented that now made me
consider getting an Xbox One?
Well, not considered, now forced me to get an Xbox One, is the announcement of Halo 5 Guardians.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that they're adding the, what's it called, the Master Chief Collection to the Xbox One?
Right, yeah, I think that's what it's called. Is it like the first 4 Halo games, or
yeah,
3?
with Halo 2 getting an anniversary remake.
Right. Is the Halo 1 anniversary remake a part of it as well?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yes. But it's been, they're converting it to like,
HD.
the 60 frames per second.
Oh, nice. I assume that they're not going to have a Halo 3 ODST nor Halo Reach.
No, they're just focusing on the main canon ones.
Oh, okay. I'm sure there's no love for Halo Wars whatsoever.
Oh no. Well, I'm not much for strategy games anyway. It's not, it's not anything towards the game. It's just towards the genre. I'm just not much of a strategist.
Wasn't there like one more Halo announcement? Oh yeah, was it like that new TV show produced by Steven Spielberg?
It was even Steven Spielberg or Ridley Scott. But yeah, that's still happening. Supposedly it's going to be airing on Showtime, I believe.
Interesting. So that's 3 Halo announcements: new game, new collection, and a new TV show. And
now I have to save up for an Xbox One. I'm just gonna get it for Black Friday.
Yeah, you're gonna get the Black Friday Bundaroo.
Right. Oh, that remind me.
Uh-huh.
We were when we were talking about the fact that Nintendo wants, all the profits
Uh-huh.
whenever their products are mentioned. I
Yeah.
could just picture them saying something like, "You pay taxes now."
You pay taxes now. You use a Nintendo. You use you.
Greedy bastards.
Hey man, the Wii U is struggling right now. They need all the money they can get.
Oh, this is their fault, though.
When we were talking about the Xbox One, there was one game that really got my attention, and that was Sunset Overdrive.
Oh yeah, you showed me the trailer for that, and it's at first I didn't know what to think about it, but then the gameplay kicked in, and this is like, whoa! It's like Infamous meets Devil May Cry meets a shooter,
Yeah, or like a third person shooter, or like Uncharted.
or Uncharted.
Yeah, I'm not really so much like a big fan of like first person shooters. I mean, I just don't find like the aesthetics appealing to me, especially Call of the likes of Call of Duty and Battlefield. I mean, if you love those games, hey, good on you. But they don't really do it for me. But I love how the beginning of this trailer kind of like lampoons these like recent trends in shooters, and here comes the main characters. I'm assuming it's the main character of Sunset Overdrive. Just bursts in, is like, yeah, color, f you, boring shooters. We've got imagination on our side. Yeah, shooting grenades into the mouths of giant mutants. Whoa!
When you showed me that trailer, and it
Yeah,
began like a Call of Duty thing,
yeah,
I kind of got confused. I was like, am I looking at the right trailer? Am I
yeah.
am I am I looking at the new Call of Duty title?
Uh-huh.
But then it kicked in into all the colors,
Mm-hmm.
and then it turned into something that looks really, really fun.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like now they're starting to make like a kind of a strong argument for me getting an Xbox One. However, it's just one game, and I'm not as into I haven't been exposed to Halo nowhere near as much as you have. So it's still gonna need to do a lot more. I mean, I'm leaning more towards the PS4 way more than the uh than the Xbox One, but I think Nintendo is doing it much better. I'm more leaning towards the Wii U than I am for the PS4.
Boo! You got
Hey,
it. You got to get.
you already have a PS4, okay?
I know, and I'm trying to get supporters.
I don't know, man. In this day and age, I bet money is better spent on Blu-rays than video games.
Oh yeah, me too. But with PlayStation, you have Sony-based games like Devil May Cry, God of War.
Hmm.
All of these games that basically made the console
Hmm.
something worth getting. They're on that side. They're on the Sony side, and they're eventually going to make more sequels.
I'll get it once Kingdom Hearts. I know Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced, but once we start seeing more information, I will most definitely get a PS4.
Well, it's a good thing you're getting it later because right now there's not much to get, and that's the reason why I've been holding back on the Xbox One, and I'm glad I did because if I bought it
Hmm.
earlier, then I would have spent like 500 to 600
Hmm.
instead of getting it for like 400.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But now I feel like I have to get it for Halo because
Uh-huh.
that's the only reason why I ever got an Xbox,
Hmm.
whether it was the original or the 360, was for Halo. Because I absolutely believe that I was probably destined to get a PlayStation 2. But unfortunately, I grew up with an original Xbox
Hmm.
because I
Hmm.
wanted Halo. I usually spent my days going to my friend's house playing Halo 1 and 2.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I wanted to play it at my house, so I
Hmm.
asked for an Xbox, and I basically grew up on Halo. That's why I'm such a big fan of it, because I grew up
Hmm.
with it.
I see.
But I feel like I should have
Hmm.
asked for a PS2 because they have variety. They have more variety than Xbox ever did.
Oh yeah, like God of War, Kingdom Hearts, Devil May Cry. Those are just off the top of my head. I'm sure there's like tons and tons and tons of franchises that got their start on there or had like continuing franchises solely on there.
Right. Well, at least they put out HD collections. I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that as well. I mean,
even if they didn't anyway, I probably would have gotten a PlayStation 2 anyway just to play these games.
yeah,
Just like
like
how I got a Nintendo 64 just to play Zelda.
yeah,
I didn't realize until later that you could have just bought it from the Wii store.
or you can get it the new version, the new version for the 3DS with enhanced graphics and everything.
I don't want a 3DS.
Don't you want to play Ocarina of Time anywhere you want, anywhere you go? Don't you want to play that water temple while you're taking a dump on your toilet?
I don't have anything against, the 3DS or the PSP, but there's something about portable based platforms that just don't really. It's not that they don't speak out to me. I just don't see it.
You don't see
But
it. Like I'll make if the one time we meet, I'm gonna have my 3DS with me. I was like, I'll make you see it.
I need to be convinced. I need to be convinced of it.
It's like that scene where from the Blues Brothers. You're like Jake Blues. You're in that church, the lights shining on you. It's like, do you see the lights? And I'm like, yes, Jesus H tap dancing Christ, I have seen the light. And that light happens to be Smash Brothers.
Well, if I ever do see the light, Andres, at least I can get one of these portable-based platform consoles for cheaper now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Before we end this section, I do want to bring up two last things. I never played the Dead Rising games because I just never had a chance to, but I just love this recent announcement from E3, this DLC for Dead Rising 3 for the Xbox One, I believe. Yeah, I think it's an Xbox One exclusive. And this this DLC pack is called Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha.
That sounds the name to a really, 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 really good porno.
Or like the 20th rendition of Street Fighter 4. And apparently it's like a 4-player arcade style adventure, and it's gonna have a lot of references and even costumes to other Capcom franchises like Captain Commando, Darkstalkers, and Street Fighter. Oh, and Mega Man, because there's like a Sigma costume, Sigma being the villain of the Mega Man series. And even disturbingly enough, there's a costume of Felicia from Darkstalkers. For those of you who don't know Darkstalkers, but are Marvel vs. Capcom fans, Felicia's like that skimpy-looking, cat girl. So seeing like the main character, I think like Frank West dressed up like Felicia's pretty nightmare-inducing. So yeah, and one last thing I wanted to bring up was, do you remember a long time ago there was a PS3 game announced way back when in like 2008 or 9 called The Last Guardian? I mean, it was
yes.
Yeah, created by the same people who made Ico and Shadow of the Colossus.
Yes.
Can you believe an entire console generation has gone by and we still have not seen that game?
I was gonna ask something about it. Wasn't it canceled?
That's why I brought it up, because right before E3 started, there were rumors that the game was indeed canceled, but then I think the people behind the games, they came out and said, no, it's still happening.
They're taking their sweet time on it. Didn't the original director lead the project? That's what I heard.
I think so. I may have read something like that. And I thought that they would have released it around the time they released that Ico HD collection with Shadow Colossus and Ico. You think just to capitalize on that supposed release that never happened? But it's just so weird to have a game that was announced so early ago and yet has spent 7 years in development.
I mean, it's surprising that they haven't actually legitimately officially canceled it.
Yeah, well, then again, I really hope that this won't end up like Duke Nukem Forever and Aliens what was it called? Aliens, Colonial
Colonial
Marines.
Marines.
Yeah, where it's like it's been in development hell for so long, and then once it's released, it's just utter crap.
Same
But
thing with movies.
yeah, like Catwoman being a perfect example, or Son of the Mask, or Godzilla '98, which was supposed to come out in like '94.
hmm
But yeah, so let's see. Were there anything else that from E3 that caught your interest?
No, I think we covered everything.
Yeah, or our most interesting bits. Oh yeah, one last thing. Xenoblade Chronicles X. Never played a Xenoblade game, nor Xenogear, Xenosaga, nothing like that, but I saw giant robots in it, and that caught my interest. And it was a sequel to an RPG game that was only for Japan and Europe, but then there was like a huge petition to get it an actual limited release in America for the Wii. So yeah, that's an interesting backstory. But yeah, if there's enough, I know from what I hear, the game is not all giant robots. There's like actual on-foot combat stuff, but hopefully if there's enough giant robots in it, that might be the game to get me into the Wii U.
Like Attack on Titan, or no, Titanfall. I meant Titanfall.
Titanfall, yeah. Wait, is that PS4 or only Xbox One?
Xbox One, Xbox 360.
Damn it! Sucks. The first time you have a first FPS game with giant robots and it's an Xbox game.
Well, I have it on the 360.
Damn it. Well, anyways, those are our thoughts on E3 2014. And we will see you guys next time after this break. We're back with Section 3 of Shuwatch, which happens to be Gorizard After Dark.
Or the other dark meat.
Yeah, that title as well. I don't know, man. I don't know what I don't know. There's something about that title that just rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, please, Andres, do tell.
I better not. Just go ahead with your story, man.
No. You had my curiosity, Andres. Now you have my attention.
It implies the term meat implies something about your manhood.
Oh. Okay, when you put it like that, I thought you meant dark meat. And Of course, I'm referring to your incident with that black bitch.
Oh, that.
I'm,
Whoa!
I'm using the term correctly. I'm using the term correctly because she was being a bitch to you, Andres.
And she happened to have been of African American descent.
And she had her kids with her.
Yes. And she was giving me attitude. That sort of attitude. But you know what? I think we should save that story for later. So let's talk about what happened to you recently.
You're right. The SOS crew deserves to know that story.
Oh, before we do that, I know you have not commented on the last episode of SOS explaining what
Oh,
happened to that last story, which was unfortunately lost.
oh yeah. Well, thanks to Andres. The most fascinating thing about that story, where I managed to convince my screenwriting teacher to see Godzilla in a different way, that was not the craziest part of the night. The craziest part of the night is when I walked into the classroom and I caught a girl taking a selfie. Now, you would think, what's so special about this? Well, the thing was that this girl was trying to, like, cover up the fact that she was taking a selfie, and she was trying to pretend that she was putting on her makeup, even though I can see her phone screen. It's the camera's in reverse looking at her, and I'm just in the background just continuing to stare, and she still has the duck lips
The,
spread out.
yeah, yeah.
And I just sat down in the back just trying to get away from her, give her some dignity.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, I'm saying, you know, damn well you're not checking your fucking makeup.
Imagine like she does take a picture and like it's your face is right there just staring directly at the camera. Your face is like in the corners. You have that bitch, are you for real look on your face. Or like she takes like 5 pictures and every one of them is your bitch, are you for real face.
It would have to be a very, very, very stagnant look.
Just use the face you normally use for the majority of your profile pics.
Well, that's my action hero look. Okay, you're right. There's no difference. But speaking of bitch, are you for real? There was this incident at Office Depot that happened quite a couple months back, where I actually had this like, bitch, are you for real? It wasn't happening to me. It was happening to quite a few of the employees, and I had the temptation to step in because I knew what these guys were going through. I faced these type of customers before, and I wasn't allowed to say anything at my job, which was McDonald's, because you get fired, and you know, gets into this political thing. But I didn't step into it. I just watched with this bitch, are you for real look. Anyways, I went into Office Depot to go get some supplies, and all of a sudden I hear like some argument over this old man and between this old man and one of the employees, and I had no idea what they were arguing about, and it went up to the point where the manager had to be called in, and the old man was still complaining in the same rude manner towards the manager, who you'd think he'd give some little respect because he is the manager. He's not a low-level employee. But anyways, it took me a while to figure out what it was he was arguing about. Get this, he complained because he was supposed to pay for his water bottle before he opened it and drank it. And he kept on trying to say, that's not how it works. And they were telling him, yes, it does. That's what the argument was. He didn't want to pay first before he drank his water. He wanted to drink it first, then pay, as if he was actually going to pay. It was obvious he was trying to scam his way out of it. But,
just like the person who was trying to scam for like a free water or whatever, a free meal or something at McDonald's earlier.
Right. I would understand, like, you know, a brand like Coca-Cola, but water? Come on. There was a Walmart across the street, and you could have gone to the goddamn water fountain for free.
Or it was like, hey, you know, we do have a water fountain right there. But seriously, why are you making that big of a fuss over a water bottle at Office Depot? I mean, It's like it's kind of like it's a pretty much given fact that you're not supposed to open up anything before you buy it. You know, be it Walmart, be it J.C. Penney or whatever, or Toys R Us or Target or a goddamn any other store, every other store in existence, where you're not supposed to open something until you buy it.
Right, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to step in, because he was acting just like a McDonald's customer. He was being unreasonable and biased, and I just wanted to step in, and just defend these people. But then I started thinking, well, it's going to make things worse. Well, how's it going to make it better? And basically, I wussed out.
Aww. I wanted to see. I wanted to hear about Action David jumping in to save the day.
I mean, how is it going to look on the police report? A young man beat up a guy and just ran away.
A young man in a Godzilla T-shirt.
If it came down to that, I wouldn't beat him up. I would just slap him in the face and then run.
Or you just can do all the good old Dolomite route. Bitch, are you for real?
I probably would have irritated him, Gore's art style, called him a nigger.
Or just continue to shout at him. Hey.
Yes, I actually would have opened up with that. I was like, hey!
Or it's like,
God.
You're looking at the situation like, it's my time to shine.
But yeah, I wanted to step in so bad because he reminded me so much of a McDonald's customer that I kind of, in a way, saw it as a way to retaliate against all those customers, even though nothing's going to happen to them, but except this old poor fuck. And have I ever told you this story this incident that happened at my McDonald's involving some dude in a sweet tea?
Sweet tea. Yeah, that's the story you shared with on Shuwatch.
Are you sure?
Yeah, the guy who tried to get a sweet tea, and he's like,
Oh, no, okay, no, I didn't. That's a different sweet tea story. This one happened recently. That happened around when I got first hired. That was 2 years ago. But here's a different one. This happened quite a while back, 3 months back. Okay, so I was at the second window where you get your bag. I was up there for quite a while, and one of the customers ordered a sweet tea with lemon, and we ran out of lemon, and I could have gone to go get the lemon, but it would have cost a lot of time, which I wasn't willing to, not invest, but or waste. Because I had to go all the way to the back of the freezer, spend some manpower on finding this thing to cut the lemon. But it probably might have taken at least 3 or 5 minutes. Time I wasn't willing to spend because I was really on a roll. I had the orders ready in a bag, and the vehicles were just rolling, and nobody was waiting in line, and I wanted to keep it that way. But I told this motherfucker. Let me just say that this dude was white. He was like one of those conservative, fancy white men who feels
super privileged, and he deserves everything.
Yes, he kind of had this classy look to him, and he talked a bit classy. He seemed like a classy person. He had a well-paid job, a well-paid mortgage. Basically one of those people. Yeah. Anyways, I told...
Excuse me, sir, how dare you not get me my slice of lemon? Do you not know who I am? I am Sir Reginald Jeffrey the Third.
Now, if he talked like that, then that wouldn't have ruined my moment right there. But anyways, I had to tell him, I apologized to him that we didn't have any lemon. And I told him this after I handed him out his sweet tea. And he's saying, oh, wait, so you're saying this doesn't have lemon? And I said, no. And then he just gave back the sweet tea, and he smiled, and he said, then I don't want it. And
watch out. We got ourselves a badass over here.
Yeah, it was like this a sarcastic thing while being nice about it.
I
hate that
don't
kind of
want
attitude.
it.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that kind of attitude so much, where you're being a dick without actually being a dick.
Yeah.
But you are being a dick, obviously.
I'm sorry,
And
but
so
this just simply won't do. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to leave it here with you. Is that alright?
so I take the sweet tea back and finish getting his bullshit order. And so I give it to him and wait for him to leave.
Uh-huh.
And after quite a few seconds of awkward silence, he was like, "Where's my sweet tea?" And I said, "You just said you didn't want it." And he said, "I know. I want it with lemon." And I said, "I told you we don't have any lemons."
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't lead into the argument, but it led into him making me go call my manager. And so basically we ended up having to waste time getting this dude his lemon, which was something I was trying to avoid in the first place, but we ended up doing anyway.
Yeah.
And as soon as the manager basically cut up the lemon for him, he started saying something like, "I'm not trying to be mean to you guys," even though that's exactly what he was doing.
I'm not trying to give you guys a hard time. I just want my lemon.
Right. And I don't know, his whole attitude just seems so unclassy.
I bet you texted your friends on your cell phone just so that they can sneak over here quickly and like stuff a potato in his tailpipe.
Well, he's not British, Andres. And he didn't have a pipe.
No, the tailpipe of his car.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have loved to do that.
Not that I'm endorsing any sort of crime here, you know.
You're right. Well, he was being a quote unquote apologetic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not really. He was like saying thank you, even though he didn't really mean it. And I just, I didn't tell him to fuck off, but I gave him that look. I gave him that look. I gave him that fuck off look.
Enjoy your meal and fuck off.
And you really can't get in trouble for a look, even though, oh my god. Okay, I'll tell you this after, but it doesn't tie in with the story, but it is McDonald's related. Anyways, he left, and then I was left with having to explain what happened to my manager. It's not the store manager; it's one of the shift managers. But he wasn't actually giving me attitude about it. He was asking me about what happened in a way like it was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And by that point, I was already vented up. I was pissed because being in that position riled me up, and in my mind I'm like, oh motherfucker, you better not be blaming me. So I explained back exactly what happened in a tone where like, it's not my fucking fault.
Oh no, that's just making it worse, David.
And well, he left me alone after that.
He was afraid of you.
No, I told him, with a very, very stern voice that it's not my fault. I tried to tell him that, we didn't have lemon. He was being unreasonable. I just told him in a stern voice, like it's not my fault.
Yeah.
And of course, it
wasn't my fault.
Right. There was another incident where I yelled at a customer. Well, I had a justification for yelling, but it wasn't yelling in anger.
Yeah.
It was yelling like, because they didn't hear me.
Uh-huh. Hey, what's that, Sonny?
No, it was a fucking fat old. Not she wasn't old, but she was a fat middle-aged woman who one of those that was obviously had a little too much McDonald's, and you really got to question: are you really? I don't know your medical history, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to be coming back to a place like this. And she was ordering.
She came in rolling on one of those like speed chairs or whatever they're called. Those little mobile chairs or whatever.
No, this was at the window again. But
Did she drove in to the window on her little bike, on her little chair bike, whatever?
No, but I wouldn't doubt if she owned one. But anyways, she ordered a frappe, and she was already being rude immediately. I forgot what it was she was being rude about because usually I tend to block those things from my memory. Only a few stand out. like the one with the sweet tea.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the one I just said.
Yeah, yeah.
Not the other one.
Yeah.
But I forgot what she said or what she did. But I know for a fact she was being rude already because already this woman hasn't even paid yet, and she's already being rude.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gotten her shit yet, and she's already being rude.
Mm-hmm.
And not a minute passes until I try to go get the sweet tea because it's being used by someone else to make a sweet tea for someone else. Mm-hmm. So I have to wait, and she sees that I have to wait because someone else is using it, and she's not yelling at me, she's shouting at me because we're at a distance, but it's shouting with attitude, like, "What's taking so long?" And I just shout back, "We're waiting!" And I yell it back with attitude, just like that. "We're waiting! God!" I didn't say the God part, but still,
yeah.
I said it with that type of attitude. And of course, it shut her up for a while. And, I forgot what happened afterwards, but,
Must
still.
have been really awkward when you went to see her at the window.
No, it wasn't. By that time, it was like after 6 or 7. At the McDonald's I worked for,
mm-hmm.
You know, like this, sometimes you go up to the first window to pay, and then you pick up your order at the second window at some fast food joints.
Yeah, yeah.
What they do at my McDonald's, at least for the company I work for, is after 6 o'clock, or on 6 on the dot, not even 6 on the dot, sometimes 5 before 6,
mm-hmm.
they would take the person from the first window and put him up on the second window to take orders, get the money, get the food, and serve it out. Basically a 4-man job.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen both. At many fast food restaurants.
And oh my god! And they think that makes things run rapidly. It doesn't. It's the opposite. Because sometimes at McDonald's,
well, that's obviously it's a way to save money because rather than paying 2 employees, you can just do 1 since there's less customers at night. I'm assuming.
And it's stupid because that's how you get stacked and busy and get complaints because of lack of people. A couple weeks ago, after I quit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you recently quit your job at McDonald's, huh? Right?
Oh yeah. Did I ever say this?
No.
Officially on Shuwatch?
You never said it on Shuwatch nor on SOS. It's never been said on mic before.
That's the next story. Okay.
That's gonna suck for a lot of our Shuwatch fans because now there's no more McDonald's stories.
Hey. The life of Gorzard is not basically centered on McDonald's. There's other crazy things that happen behind the scenes.
Of course. There's still many tales yet to tell from Sin City.
Anyways, it was a couple weeks after I quit, and one of my managers that I have as a friend on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh.
she made a post saying that it was only her and 1 employee at McDonald's.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh,
hashtag fuck you, David.
I'm pretty sure that's what was running in her mind, probably. Because more than likely, I was supposed to work that day because it did fall on a weekend, and those were my regular work days. And
wait, did you quit on like the last day of your like? Because like I'm assuming that it's kind of like my work where like let's say on like Friday or Saturday you get a new schedule for the following week.
I'll tell you when I get to it because it's an odd way how and why I quit.
Okay.
Anyways, usually after 6 o'clock, there are at least 4.5 people left to run the store.
Uh-huh.
And I say 4.5 because the 5th person either leaves at 9 or 10, and by that time it's only left to 4 people.
Like his torso leaves, but his legs still stay.
Right.
Obviously, you need that extra footwork to clean the bathrooms. But anyways, continue.
We don't clean the bathrooms.
Oh god.
After 6, we're like, well, just leave that to the fucking maintenance, who usually comes in the morning.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, it was only 2 of them, and I felt so bad because I quit around that same time,
and
I felt like if I was there, not only would I also experience something worth telling on Shuwatch, but I don't know. I kind of felt guilty about it because at least it would have been 3 people.
Yeah, and then as soon as you feel bad for like 5 seconds, then you put on like terror of Mechagodzilla, and then your guilt all goes away.
Right. Because at least it would have been me at the window taking drive-through orders.
Uh-huh.
It would have been the manager at the front taking orders
Mm-hmm.
and giving them out. And then you would have one person actually doing the food. But unfortunately, there were only two, so
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure some shit went down there. But, oh my god. Anyways, now the reason on how and why I quit. And this was the weekend X-Men Days of Future Past came out.
Yeah.
And I remember that because the movie came out that weekend.
Right, right.
Okay, anyways. So, it was, I believe it was a Friday or a Saturday. It was a Saturday, I believe. No, it was a Friday because we had a party for one of my friends. It was supposed to happen at my place.
Right, right.
And I was like, fuck, I'm working that day.
Are you talking about like a big family party?
Not really. It was more like a party between friends. Even they were her friends.
Oh, like,
so
like,
I didn't know much of these people.
Like friends just coming over and just hanging out, watching TV, whatnot.
No, it was a party in the backyard.
Oh, that like on Facebook, right? Where you saw there, you post a picture of the aftermath of said
Oh
party.
yeah, you saw that? Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty much like every other Latino party with lots of people.
Yeah. Well, anyways, it happened on that day,
Uh-huh.
the day of the party, and needless to say, I didn't shave, but it was not a shave where it was so obvious. Like it needed an immediate, shaving. Anyways,
Yeah, just
the store manager.
It's like it's been like maybe a week, or maybe like almost half a week, where you kind of have a bunch of whiskers growing out.
I had like what more qualified as a mini 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah. I think I had that too.
Like the thing that more like 2 days after you shave. That kind of.
Yeah, okay.
But apparently to my store manager it was still obvious. Anyways, I came to work like I regularly do. This time I had to walk to work because my mom had to borrow my car.
Yeah.
So I had to go walking.
Uh-huh.
And I live on top of a hill.
Uh-huh.
So I had to walk downhill to go to work, and then I would have to walk uphill from work.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I went in, punched in like I regularly do, and had to endure at least 5 minutes of my store manager's poor management skills and orders.
Mm-hmm.
She told me for the first minute, she told me to do a sweep and mop. I start sweeping, then she tells me, not 30 seconds after I started sweeping, to go get the sauce in the back. And I go
what do you want me to do?
Yeah, oh my god, this is the reason why everyone in my store hates her.
Uh-huh.
No one has any respect for her because she doesn't know how to run a damn store, and her management skills are not even questionable. They're just stupid.
Yeah.
There's no question about her management skills, but I do question how she got to be a manager. But in all honesty, it took her 13 years to become a store manager, so that should say some things. Because nowadays, it actually should take you a year or two to become a shift manager, and probably not too long to become a store manager.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Yeah.
But it took her 13 years. Anyways.
Oh boy.
She made me stop doing what I was doing, and just out of the blue, she said, "I can't have you working like this." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?"
Like working like what?
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, "Working like what?"
I
always try to be a smartass with her.
So I got a mop in one. I got a mop in one hand and sausage in the other. What do you want? What do you want from me?
Well, I didn't say that, but I said, "What do you want?" But I knew what she was referring to. She was referring to my quote-unquote beard. And she was pointing to it, and she was like, "I can't have you working like this. I need you to go to the Walgreens across from the store, buy a razor, and shave." And I said to her, "I don't have any money." And they're like, "Well, I don't know what to do." And so we just stayed there staring at each other for a long time because I honestly didn't know what to do. So
hold on, it's like some like classic Mexican showdown. Wah, wah, wah.
So yeah, after like a minute of just staring at each other, I was like, so now what? She's like, I forgot what she said, but I guess she said something like, I can't have you working like this. So I ended up resuming what I was doing, go getting the sauces.
Mm-hmm.
And then a minute later, she was like, I don't think you're hearing me. I told you I can't have you working like this. I'm like, well, I don't have money to shave. What do you want me to do? And she said, I don't know, but I need you to clock out.
Oh
Fine.
my god.
So I clock out, and I sit in the McDonald's contemplating what am I going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And by that point, I am considering just quitting because I had enough. This was like the final straw.
Yeah.
You did not make me take away my freedom that way. My beard. Because I put up with her bullshit for far too long, and this is like by far the most ridiculous.
Yeah.
She was about to leave in 1 hour.
Yeah.
And she said the whole reason that she needed me to clock out and have me not work like this because she didn't want to get in trouble. But she was about to leave in 1 hour, and she couldn't do me a solid and say, "I'll let you go just for once, but next time please shave." She couldn't do that. She made me clock out. So I kept on contemplating all that while I was sitting, and so I kind of started giving myself a choice. I could walk all the way back home and shave and come back and work and have a shitty day at work, which I knew was going to happen because the clouds were very ominous. I took that as a sign. Or I could just go back home, quit, and just enjoy the party. And so I just sat there for 30 minutes, really, really thinking hard on what I wanted to do. And so what I ended up doing was going to the store manager and asking her, okay, so you want me to go home and shave and come back, right? Or do I have the rest of the day off? Because if I had the rest of the day off, then things would have been different. But she said, no, I need you to go shave and come back. I need you for today. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, fine. And so I left and never came back.
Aww.
That was kind of like my final fuck you to her.
Wow. Not even like a letter of resignation. Nothing like that. Just a big old F you.
Well, when I went back to go get my last check, I didn't go to the store. I had to go to the headquarters to get my last check. I had to confirm that I was quitting. So I had to write like a brief little thing like, I have other opportunities to pursue. Love, David. I didn't even say thank you for the opportunity because I was really not grateful for it because it was like one of the worst experiences in my life. I have nothing to be grateful for, so I was like, yeah. And then I returned my shit, got my check, and that was it.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, David, but yeah.
No, I'm not sorry. I'm glad I'm out of it.
I just wish that you could have hold on a little bit later so that you could have gone to G-Fest.
Well, the thing that hit me afterwards was I quit without finding a second job. Fuck! That's the second thing that hit me, but I was like, at least...
Well, there's Jack in the Box. I hear they're opening.
Oh, no, not Jack in the Box, because Jack in the Box's drive-thru is open 24 hours in. Oh, God. No. I could even handle McDonald's, which closes at like 1 a.m. But
come on, you're an old nighter sort of fellow, aren't you?
I am. But the problem is that what Jack in the Box does, at least here in Vegas, is they do the same thing at McDonald's. They put Jack in the Box doesn't even have a first window. They only have one window, and that.
Oh, I'm sorry. You imagine you hear that familiar voice. I'm sorry. Can you please make sure to have lemon on my sweet tea?
Oh, no.
And you end up losing your job because you lost your cool because of that guy.
Imagine.
But now with you gone, how else am I gonna sneak up on you at the drive-thru and asking for tacos at a McDonald's?
You won't even know which McDonald's I work at.
I can try, man. I can always try. And now you've taken away that opportunity from me.
Well, now I'm trying to find a different job. Hopefully something away from fast food.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Something in retail. I hear the Lazy Boy is hiring.
Or maybe you might get lucky and find yourself at a place that's pretty cool, like a movie theater or a GameStop, stop
GameStop.
GameStop.
I heard supposedly a GameStop suppressing, supposedly.
Oh yeah, I've heard that too. I think I've seen like some videos of people who are former employees, and they talk about all the BS that employees go through, or how like they would have managers who are not even like have no idea about video games, just like telling them what to do and whatnot.
Isn't that the whole point of a job?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't still have fun and have people who are great to work with, and a manager that or boss that you are grateful to have.
I want to work in like this office situation. I'm talking about the TV show The Office,
Yeah,
where I just want to mess around.
yeah. Or it looks like that sounds more like Workaholics.
Or that. Something where it doesn't require me to do a lot of work.
If you would like to dear audience, offer the chance to help David find another job, please contact us at 1-800. No, I give out your real number.
It doesn't begin with a 1-800 address.
I know, but it's just like one of those like every day there are tons of Davids out there who lack the sufficient funds to play video games and buy Blu-rays. If you like to help one of these poor unfortunate souls, contact us at the Save David Foundation. And then you have the
I have found like a plan B to like fall back on some money, make some side money. And I probably shouldn't be talking about this, but we have such a low number of listeners. I think it's safe. But it's illegal.
No, man. I don't. I'm not comfortable now. No. Just I don't. I'm afraid of what could happen. So just keep that to yourself, okay? I know nothing. I see nothing, Colonel Hogan.
Well, it has something to strongly emphasize me as an internet pirate, which by this point I think I am officially an internet pirate.
Oh, okay. I thought it was related to like drugs or something.
No!
Actually, undressed. No!
No, what I'm doing is I'm selling, I'm not going to say what kind of DVDs, but certain DVDs on eBay that are out of stock, and people are buying them.
Okay.
I made over $300 in the last 3 months.
Nice.
And in 2 weeks, I will receive $173 on my PayPal.
Nice.
So I have something to fall back on for now, but more than likely, I'm probably not even going to go beyond the $500 mark. That's how poor I am, because I'm around $200 on my checking. Unless I save up.
All right.
Just more than likely not going to happen, because I need that Attack on Titan Blu-ray.
Wait, it's not even out yet. There's only like a Volume 1 DVD so far.
Well, yeah, but I'm still going to get it. And today I just spent like $95. In all honesty, but it was just, to continue my life of eBay crime.
A life of crime.
I don't consider it, okay, like they say, like, they have that FBI warning in all movies, like,
yeah.
piracy is not a crime.
Yeah.
I don't think it applies to this, because technically the movies I'm selling have not been giving a DVD release in the United States, because so technically they are not protected by United States law.
And you are doing service to your fine kaiju brethren.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's see. Would you like me to post a link to your eBay account?
No!
Oh no. Okay.
But more than likely, if some actually try, they'll end up finding it, and they'll see what I'm selling.
All right.
And I'm not saying what I am selling, because I am afraid. I have a paranoid theory that we have some people from Toho, Subaraya, Toei listening on these.
Imagine like some like sort of internet. Imagine like an internet version of James Bond. I don't know how that will work. Like maybe like Tron mixed with James Bond. You got like special programs slash agents that are out there to take out the pirates.
That could work. Let's pitch that to Dylan.
As well as our next story after he and Bill finishes Godzilla Odyssey.
Right. Oh, Bill definitely would be interested in this.
Yeah. Like imagine Mega Man Battle Network, where Mega Man and his friends, they're all like computer programs instead of robots, surfing the internet and fighting evil viruses. Except what if like they turn Mega Man EXE into a James Bond EXE program? Yeah.
We'll just leave that for Bill to decide over, because he is the one who wants to have creative control.
Yeah. So yeah, I did mention earlier, like at the beginning of this section, how there was an incident that happened to me for a change, during work. And
Finally, we're getting to this, Andres.
yes, and
Or are you going to share it with SOS tomorrow?
no, I'll share it here. It seems like the most appropriate place. So yeah, if you didn't know, I work as a lifeguard at a YMCA, and we deal with a lot of people on a daily basis. And for the most part, they're very compliant whenever we tell them about whatever we have to inform them on a certain rule, like, sorry, sir, you cannot do this, or sorry, ma'am, you cannot bring this into the pool, or, ma'am, we have to check this life jacket to see if it's Coast Guard approved. But there are times, but this is like that one time where out of freaking nowhere, I told this woman something that she cannot do this, and she just went like crazy on me. So we had this rule where, you know how most public pools, they have like a ramp for people who have disabilities?
Mm-hmm.
You know, people who are in like a wheelchair or, you know, use crutches. You know, we have that ramp specifically for those kind of people. And we always keep the ramp clear for those kind of people. So whenever we have some like person who can clearly use the stairs, they are using the ramp. We're using, excuse me, ma'am, sir, miss, or excuse me, young man, please, you know, stay away. Please get off the ramp. And use the stairs instead. And if they need an explanation, well, you know, they're for people with physical disabilities. So there's this woman, she comes in, she has two little children, they're like little toddlers, and they're using the ramp. So I go over and says, ma'am, I'm sorry, but you can't use the ramp. You have to use I have to use the stairs. Excuse me? Why can't I use the ramp? By the way, I'm sorry if I know this voice isn't exactly 100% accurate. If it's offensive in any way, I apologize. Excuse me, why can't I use this ramp? I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am, but this is for people with disabilities. Excuse me, are you calling me disabled? I'm like, no, ma'am. I'm like, wait, well, hold on, this just went south so bad. I was like, I'm sorry, sir, but I'm sorry, ma'am, it's part of the rules. And she's like, I didn't see no rules. Oh, and I said, that's okay, ma'am. Are you insulting me? And at that point, I'm like, what? What? So there are two things going through my mind. One, she's obviously the kind of person who does not like to be told. Two, she's the kind of person who doesn't like. She must be interpreting my words as being very patronizing, like talking down to her or something. And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm not insulting. I'm just saying the ramp was only meant for people who have trouble walking or have disabilities. And then she just grabs her two kids' arms and says, okay, people, I don't know their names, like, okay, so-and-so, we're leaving now. Apparently this is for, like, disabled people or whatever. And the kids make a big fuss, and she decides to stay for the pool. And so she goes over to the other lifeguard, because there was, like, over 25 people, and if you have over 25 people in the pool, you need two lifeguards on the stands. And so she goes over to the second lifeguard and is like, excuse me, I'm trying to use this ramp, and then he won't let me. And so the other lifeguard was told her the same thing I did. He's like, oh, excuse me, I didn't see no rules. And so the other lifeguard was like, well, the rules are right over there. And then that other woman got so mad. So once again, she grabs her kids and just pulls them with her and marches straight towards the list of rules we have at the pool, which also stately clear, just like clearly states about the thing about the ramp. And she got even more mad because now she doesn't like to be told what to do. She doesn't like to be patronized, and she doesn't like to be proven wrong. So throughout the entire time that she stayed at the pool with her children, she was sitting on the stairs, and at that point I was positioned like very close to her. And being a lifeguard, I have to like scan the entire pool, look at every single place, keep track of everybody in the pool. And every time I look at her direction, she would give me that look, that like, are you for real look? And twice she would go to her sons and say, yeah, he's looking at us. And in my head, I'm thinking, seriously, are you crazy? It is my job to look after everyone in this pool, okay? If I'm looking at your direction, I'm not specifically targeting you. I mean, sure, I'm kind of afraid of what you might do right now. But that's only because that's part of my job. I'm looking at everyone here. And you have little kids who have a higher chance of drowning or having some sort of accident than anyone in the pool. So you should be grateful that I am spending extra time looking after your kids. I mean, that was what was going on in my mind, and I was so upset. I was so irritated by this woman, and the fact that she had the gall to see my actions as being offensive in some way to her. And thankfully, I was like, in my head I'm thinking, you know what? There's nothing she could do. I'll stare as long as I want. She can't do anything. It's my job. And luckily, she didn't make any sort of complaint, and she left. And well, that was the end of my crazy day.
That kind of reminds me of another incident at McDonald's. It involved a black woman as well.
Mm-hmm.
But surprisingly enough, this happened twice. And both of these customers said the same thing about me.
Uh-huh.
And they said, I am rude. Well, I wasn't rude.
Uh-huh.
And and here's why. Here's the story. Okay. So, and these two both happened like on separate days, but at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually after I punch in and start working.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when I punch in, I start, immediately doing my job. I look at the screen, see what needs to be handed out,
mm-hmm.
and I get on it. And I have to make a shake for drive-thru.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm making it,
mm-hmm.
and here's some guy behind me asking me some questions. I forgot about what. I wasn't really paying attention that much to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I understood what he was, trying to ask, because I just simplified what he was asking, and I was like, okay, fuck it, move on. I was just simplifying it in the first few seconds. He was asking the question before he even finished it, and just automatically answered no, 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 not like that, but
mm-hmm.
obviously when he finished his question,
mm-hmm.
and of course I said no every time.
Mm-hmm.
And just as he's about to leave, he says, "You're rude, man." I'm like, I don't give a fuck. But I don't say that, but I have that look on my face. It's obviously he's looking at me, pointing at me, saying, "Hey, you're rude, man." But I see him, but don't. I mean, I'm not looking directly at him, but I am passing him
mm-hmm.
without giving him like a moment's thought, not even paying attention to him,
mm-hmm.
which it's kind of like, in my way, a little fuck you to you, because you are so beneath me that I am not acknowledging.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another incident when I was taking someone's orders,
mm-hmm.
and this black woman,
uh-huh.
she was asking a lot of questions as well, like, can I have this and that? Can I have some ketchup? Can I have some sauce? Can I have some sugar? I was like, yeah. And every time I was doing it, unbiasedly. I wasn't being rude about it.
Yeah,
I
you were
was
like,
taking,
yeah,
I,
sure, yeah.
but while she was asking me,
Mm-hmm.
if she can have these stuff, I was taking another person's order, which in my book is rude
Mm-hmm.
if you interrupt that person, because my attention should be at her, not you. At least you should wait. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, I still did it. I didn't stop taking the person's order. I reached out behind me to go get the thing
Mm-hmm.
while still hearing the customers still going on about their order, and gave the bitch her shit.
Mm-hmm.
And and when I finished, and it got up to the point where I just couldn't, stop my time for this woman. So I said, okay, hold on. And I had to finish the order. And when I finally got around to it, I gave her thing, and my manager was close by, and she said to her, "He's rude." And she was like, "Okay,"
Mm-hmm.
which to me was like, I was really appreciated about that, because it was also like a fuck you as well. She was like, "Okay, I don't care," because it was the way she said it. She was like, "Okay," like that, because she understood how the environment was going.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole workspace was there. It was really stressful already, so she understood if anyone's lodging a complaint against me, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
But still, to think that I was being rude and she was the one interrupting the customer for some stuff she couldn't even wait. That is just
Yep. Customers. You can't stand them at times yet. Strangely enough, without them, we wouldn't be getting our paychecks.
Yes, we would.
Well, yeah, that is true, yeah. Well, anyways, they're kind of like, to quote an episode of SpongeBob, they're kind of like the, what do we call it? The blood that runs through the veins that keeps the company alive. So, yeah.
Those are the stories I have for tonight.
On David, After Dark.
Or the other dark meat.
That too. Well, we have come to the end of another episode of Shuwatch Super Dynamic Ultra Force Go. We hope you have enjoyed this session with us, and we'll see you guys next time. I am Andres Perez, aka KaijuNoir.
Warzard. I have no catchphrase again.
Until next time, everybody, take care.